Football starting by copying peak Messi's attributes. Hey! Look who's back for more adventures. We love having you here to continue this story that keeps us all awake. Important note, all of this is pure fiction. So don't try any techniques you hear here in real life, your neighbor might call the cops. This amazing novel and all its rights belong to the original author. We're just the ones giving it voice and drama. Are you enjoying the show? Prove it by subscribing to our YouTube channel and leaving that like that motivates us so much. And if you want VIP access to exclusive content, our Patreon is waiting with things you won't find anywhere else. Chapter 76 Bosk's Reappointment. After Lin Quan demonstrated his abilities, he vaguely sensed a rise in his status within the team. Raoul, always smiling, took extra care of him, not only sharing his years of experience but also offering tips on avoiding injuries. Lin, you're still young, your career is long, so you absolutely must protect yourself and avoid injuries. Raoul, having played football for so many years, witnessed the rise and fall of countless superstars. A large portion of these fallen players were ruined by injuries, such as his former Real Madrid teammate, Ronaldo. An uninjured Ronaldo was known as the phenomenon, a fearsome presence for all defenders. But after a major injury, Ronaldo's threat plummeted, his performance declined day by day, and he never regained his former glory. Spain had finally found such a promising striker, and Raoul, a veteran of the national team, truly didn't want Lin Quan to suffer the same fate as those fleeting stars in history, ruined by injuries. Don't worry, Captain, I'll protect myself. Lin Quan, who had recently suffered an injury in the league, still vividly remembered the experience. He had made up his mind to accumulate points after this national team match to exchange for an injury immunity talent. Even if he couldn't achieve complete injury immunity, reducing the risk of injury and mitigating its impact would be good. Raoul nodded with satisfaction. Young people are prone to ignoring advice. Often, when they offer advice as experienced players, the other party doesn't take it seriously and might even find them nagging. Little do they know that this advice is the culmination of countless lessons learned over a decade of professional careers. Due to Lin Quan's outstanding performance in the warm-up matches, Del Bosque had high hopes for him. In the team's tactical drills, he specifically arranged for Lin Quan to play as a free-roaming forward, giving him considerable freedom to decide his own playing style in the attacking third. Initially, this approach caused dissatisfaction among some veteran players, who felt that Del Bosque had too high expectations and was being too lenient with the newcomer. The role of a free-roaming forward demands extremely high levels of talent, technique, and match experience. Aside from exceptionally talented superstars, ordinary players simply cannot play this position. Look at the legendary free-roaming players who have dominated European football: Maradona, Platini, Zico, and later Totti, Kaká, and Messi. Aren't they all superstars? Can a kid under 17 play as a free-roaming forward? No way. I advise Vicente Del Bosque to first understand the philosophy of football and focus on utilizing Spain's strengths. Stop with the fancy stuff. Spain's squad is strong enough without resorting to any fancy techniques. Almost everyone was skeptical of Del Bosque's plan, but the training match results were surprising. Lin Quan not only showed no discomfort in the free-roaming forward position, but he played exceptionally well. His coordination with teammates, linking up play, distributing the ball, organizing attacks, and finishing were all impeccable. He seemed born for this position. This not only fully met Del Bosque's expectations but even exceeded them. The other players in the Spanish team were speechless at this point. Their gazes towards Lin Quan had completely changed, because his abilities had surpassed their comprehension. This guy is a genius. Coach Tony excitedly told his old partner. Bosque grinned from ear to ear. He had thought he'd just found a rough diamond, but it turned out he'd discovered a gold mine. I'm a little nervous for Rio. Iniesta stood beside Xavi, his eyes filled with shock and worry. Lin Quan's strength was even greater than they had imagined. If he returned to Barcelona and competed with Messi, could the increasingly older Messi really beat him? Rio's starting position isn't a concern for now, and Lin's return might not necessarily take Rio's place. Both have high football intelligence. Perhaps they can coexist and achieve more than the sum of their parts. Xavi was already looking forward to seeing Lin Quan return to Barcelona after his loan spell and dominate the field with him. With Lin Quan's arrival, Barcelona's strength would rise to another level, especially with the young Brazilian winger they were currently negotiating with. Just thinking about how strong Barcelona will be next year is exciting. League title, Champions League title, Club World Cup title, they'll take everything that belongs to them back. After a few days of short training, the entire Spanish team flew to Belarus on October 12 to prepare for their second group stage opponent. Belarusian fans gave the world champions a warm welcome, not only greeting them at the airport but also escorting the Spanish team bus all the way to their hotel. Even at night, to keep the Spanish players from being too lonely, they put on a noisy outdoor performance. So, when Lin Quan woke up the next morning, he found many of the team members with panda eyes. "What time did you go to sleep last night? Why are your dark circles so bad?" Seeing Morata's comical panda eyes, Lin Quan couldn't help but laugh. "Don't even mention it, those guys were making a racket all night. I didn't fall asleep until midnight." Morata yawned listlessly, glancing at Lin Quan, only to find the other man completely unaffected, without any dark circles under his eyes, instead radiating energy and vitality. This struck him as odd. "Didn't you hear the noise those guys were making outside last night?" Lin Quan pulled out his sleep aid earplugs and showed them to Morata. "No, I put these on before I went to bed." "Damn, why didn't you remind me? I should have bought a pair too. I thought you knew, so I didn't say anything." Lin Quan said this, but inwardly he felt a little grateful to the old captain, Raul. He had bought the sleep aid earplugs on Raul's advice, who reminded him to be prepared for unexpected situations when playing away games. It seemed Morata hadn't received the same advice, or perhaps he hadn't paid attention. The home team's fans making noise at their hotel was a common practice among fans of many teams. This could effectively affect their competitive state without violating any rules. If you can't stand it, you can always change hotels, no one's stopping you. That being said, with so many players on the team and it being so late, going out to find a hotel again would be incredibly exhausting for the players. There's also no guarantee they won't be harassed by home fans at the new hotel. So, faced with this situation, the only option is to call the local police. However, whether the police take any action after the report is not up to them. Judging from last night's events, the Minsk police clearly don't care about this matter. After the team assembled, Vicente Del Bosque noticed that many players, especially the younger ones, were not in good spirits, so he had to send them back to rest while he led the remaining players in training. The training on match day was simple and low intensity. The morning consisted of recovery training, mainly aerobic exercises that wouldn't burden the players' stamina. The afternoon included some ball training and simple tactical drills to ensure ball control during the match. Although it was a simple training session, a large crowd of reporters and fans still gathered outside the training base. Looking at the long lenses and microphones set up by the reporters outside the field, Lin Quan gained a more direct understanding of the popularity and attention the Spanish national team received. No wonder they are world champions, even playing a group stage match garnered this kind of treatment. If it were a key match within the group, the number of reporters would likely be even greater. Besides fans of Spain and Belarus, other teams in the same group were also paying attention to this match. In addition, some world-class teams aiming for the 2013 Confederations Cup and the 2014 World Cup were also watching Spain's new lineup as the defending champions. The whole world knew that Spain's attack was weak, and everyone was worried that Spain would suddenly find a way to solve their lack of firepower. Especially given that the opponent had recruited so many strikers at once, everyone feared that they might have discovered the right solution through trial and error. Therefore, they would closely follow Spain's matches to understand their latest situation. Amidst the intense anticipation, the key match of the second round of the European World Cup qualifiers, the defending champions versus Belarus, officially kicked off at the Dynamo Stadium in Minsk. Chapter 77 The national team's first hat-trick. At the pre-match press conference, Vicente Del Bosque announced Spain's starting lineup. To the reporters' surprise, both star strikers Torres and Villa were on the bench. Instead, Werder Bremen's 16-year-old Lin Quan started, which piqued their interest. Was Del Bosque being incredibly bold with his player selection? He'd just recruited this young striker from the national youth team and immediately given him such a heavy responsibility. If things went wrong, the blame for the poor player selection would fall squarely on the veteran coach. This would also have a significant negative impact on the young player. Of course, if Lin Quan performed well for the national team, the reporters would shower him and Del Bosque with praise. This kind of hype is a traditional skill of the reporters. In short, regardless of the result of this match, a big news story was guaranteed. The Belarusian coach, standing nearby, was speechless. He knew Spain was strong, But this kind of disrespect was unacceptable. Was Belarus weak? You're beating my 16-year-old player? Who do you think you are? The match kicked off at 9 p.m. local time. Spain once again deployed a strikerless formation, with Lin Quan positioned as a forward, but actually playing as a false nine. Vicente Del Bosque granted him considerable freedom in the attacking third, allowing him to move freely between winger, striker, and attacking midfielder positions. He could go wherever he felt comfortable. Of course, this approach carried significant risk, so Del Bosque only planned to give Lin Quan half the game. If Spain failed to score in the first half and establish a lead, he would bring on Torres and Villa in the second half, switching to a more conventional tactic. It's a bit risky, but we have to do it. Next up is France, and time is running out. Del Bosque sighed, looking at the starting lineup, and said to his old partner, Coach Tony, France is a traditionally strong European team, and while Spain is stronger, a victory isn't guaranteed. An upset would put Spain in a very unfavorable position. The World Cup allocates 13 slots to Europe, and only the top team in each group directly qualifies for the World Cup finals. If they don't finish first, they have to play in the playoffs. The playoffs are a two-match affair, and they face strong teams, making it much more difficult than the group stage. To avoid an upset, they must secure their World Cup qualification in the group stage. What's the point of talking about this now? Since we chose him, we can only trust him. Tony seemed fearless. They'd already won the World Cup and defended their European Championship title. They'd won everything they could possibly want, and had no regrets. Vicente Del Bosque nodded, remaining silent and focusing intently on the game. Just as the Spanish coach was worried about Lin Quan's performance, Lin Quan nearly created a goal right from the start. Less than a minute into the game, David Silva turned and played a through ball from the right side of the penalty area, a very imaginative pass. Lin Quan understood perfectly, making a run ahead and receiving the pass in the penalty area. Unfortunately, Lin Quan's shot from a tight angle hit the right post, and Belarus escaped a close call. Although the ball didn't go in, Spain's form had already kicked in early. In the 5th minute, Xavi dribbled past his defender and chipped the ball to Silva, who then passed it to Lin Quan. Lin Quan then played a through ball to Silva, who received the ball in the penalty area and found himself one-on-one with the goalkeeper. However, his shot went just wide, grazing the post and going out of play. These two goals left the Spanish fans in the stands both frustrated and excited. It was unbelievable that their team couldn't score. However, the performance of their new player in the attacking third was commendable, much to their delight. In the 8th minute, Belarus launched a quick counter-attack, with a cross from the right wing intercepted by Ramos. Real Madrid's starting defenders were reassuring in their defense. In the 11th minute, Spain attacked again. Alba crossed from the left, Xavi played a first-time through ball to Pedro, who then flicked it on with his heel to the on-rushing Lin Quan. Lin Quan feinted past the defender, dribbled into the penalty area, and passed the ball back to Iniesta. Iniesta received the ball and was one-on-one with the goalkeeper. He could have shot directly, but instead, he chose to play a through ball to the unmarked Lin Quan. Lin Quan hadn't expected the pass, but his quick reaction allowed him to slot the ball into the empty net. Spain took a 1-0 lead away to Belarus. After scoring, Lin Quan excitedly pointed at Iniesta, ran over, and hugged him in celebration, thanking him for his selfless assist. Iniesta could have passed or not, but he chose to. This selfless pass was clearly a sign of his special care for the newcomer. Teammates rushed over, surrounding the two. Leading a team like Belarus isn't something to celebrate, but Lin Quan's outstanding performance within the team's tactics was what truly mattered. In just 11 minutes, Lin Quan had already played 3 different positions in the attacking third. His dribbling as a winger, his shooting as a striker, and his playmaking as an attacking midfielder were all commendable. His teammates had completely dispelled their doubts. This kid wasn't the type to falter in big games. His performance in major matches was just as consistent as in training. Therefore, the team had fully accepted this newcomer. A 1-goal lead isn't enough. Let's try to score a few more, that way, we can save some energy in the second half, said Casillas, the team's veteran. Everyone nodded in agreement. The game restarted. Belarus organized an attack, but couldn't even get past the midfield. Spain's powerful midfield began to dominate. In the 20th minute, David Silva intercepted the ball in the middle and delivered a pinpoint diagonal pass. Pedro dribbled into the penalty area, rounded Valemco, and his chip shot was saved by the goalkeeper, but Lin Quan cleverly followed up and scored. The score became 2-0. Pedro was a little disappointed, his shot was too straight. If he had aimed a little higher, it might have been a goal. However, his teammate's follow-up shot was still a good result. In the 27th minute, Belarus finally launched a counter-attack. However, Rodianov's shot lacked power and was easily caught by Casillas, Belarus's only shot on the first half. In the 29th minute, Lin Quan dribbled past his opponent on the wing and cut inside. He feinted a shot and then passed the ball to Silva. Silva started his run a little too early, and the linesman raised his flag for offside. 1 minute later, Lin Quan broke through the middle, attracting 3 defenders before passing the ball to Xavi. Xavi lobbed the ball to Silva, who this time was smarter. Only starting his run after seeing Xavi's pass. He received the ball on the left side of the penalty area, turned, and shot directly. As the ball flew into the goal, Silva was about to celebrate when he heard the linesman's whistle again. This time, Silva was unhappy. He was 100% certain he was not offside, so he angrily ran over to argue with the linesman. Seeing his teammate's agitated state, Lin Quan quickly ran over and pulled him back. "David, calm down, there will be other chances later, no need to get so worked up." Luckily, he acted quickly. The referee was already preparing to pull out a card to warn the Manchester City star. Silva saw the referee put the half-drawn yellow card back in and felt a little scared. "Thank you, Lin, I definitely won't waste the chance you give me next time." Seeing Lin Quan comforting his teammate who was 10 years older than him on the field, Del Bosque and coach Tony exchanged a glance, both feeling a bit strange. Who is the newcomer and who is the senior player? This kid's mentality is more stable than some of the older players. Lin Quan's performance greatly reduced the old coach's worries. At least for now, the kid's performance has definitely met or even exceeded expectations. The first half was not over yet, and Spain's lead was still widening. In the 32nd minute, Silva was penalized offside again after receiving the ball in the attacking third, but this time he calmly did not protest. In the 35th minute, Xavi made a quick pass to Silva, who then delivered a low cross from the right side of the penalty area. The ball was a half-high ball, a bit difficult to handle. Without thinking, Lin Quan instinctively executed a sideways volley. The goalkeeper's view was obstructed, and he didn't see the shot immediately. By the time he saw the ball flying towards the goal, it was too late to make the save. The score became 3-0. In less than 40 minutes, Lin Quan had already completed his hat trick. Chapter 78. Good brother, I want to score a goal too. The goal was beautiful. Even Lin Quan himself hadn't expected to score. His teammates rushed over, ruffling his hair and patting his shoulder to congratulate him. Beautiful shot. That could be the best goal of the round. Good lad, a side volley. That was a difficult shot. Haha, luckily it wasn't me who took that shot. If it were me, it would have gone high and wide. That's not necessarily true. You might not even have touched the ball and have fallen flat on your face. Silva's words drew laughter from his teammates. The shooting ability of most of the Spanish national team's midfielders wasn't particularly outstanding. They often made some ridiculous shots in matches. Going high and wide, missing one-on-one chances, those were commonplace, routine operations. If their shooting technique were as refined as that of top strikers, Spain's matches wouldn't be so difficult. The match continued, and Belarus, terrified by Spain's powerful attack, tightened their defense in the final stages of the first half, refusing to launch any further attacks. The first half ended with a 3-0 score. During halftime, Vicente Del Bosque praised his players' performance in the first half and made no personnel changes for the time being. He would assess the situation in the second half. If they could score another goal or maintain their lead until the 70th minute, he would consider substituting players like Iniesta and Xavi to prepare for the match against France 4 days later. In the 47th minute of the second half, Fabregas played a through ball down the left flank, and Alba delivered a low cross. The height of the cross was similar to Lin Quan's volley in the first half, but the ball was now on the left. Lin Quan was already poised for another volley. However, the Belarusian defender, oblivious to the opportunity, tackled the ball out of play. Lin Quan ran to the corner flag, ready to take the corner kick. Xavi approached him and discussed the situation. "We lack a tall striker, so we can't gain an advantage in headers in the penalty area. How about we try a tactical combination?" Lin Quan glanced at the players in the penalty area. The Spanish players were clearly a head shorter than the Belarusian defenders, a height difference that would put them at a significant disadvantage in aerial duels. "Okay, Captain, what's your plan?" The two discussed it briefly and then took a tactical corner kick. Xavi feigned a cross but instead passed the ball to Lin Quan, who was positioned not far from the corner flag. Lin Quan received the ball and moved laterally, seemingly preparing to create space for a long-range shot. Seeing Spain take the tactical corner kick, the Belarusian players immediately scattered and rushed towards Lin Quan, who was dribbling the ball. Taking advantage of the opponent's pressing, Lin Quan suddenly dribbled forward, unexpectedly beating the pressing player. Seeing him enter the penalty area, the Belarusian defenders instinctively swarmed around him. In their minds, this young man who scored 3 goals in the first half was clearly the most threatening player in the Spanish team. The Belarusian players seemed to have forgotten that Spain played a strikerless formation. This style of play doesn't have a single, definitive striker. Everyone in the attacking third can participate in the attack and everyone can score. Seeing the opposing team pressing, Lin Quan played a through ball to the right flank. David Silva appeared there, controlled the ball, and shot, all in one fluid motion. This time, the linesman didn't call offside. The score became 4-0. After scoring, Silva was ecstatic, leaping onto Lin Quan. Luckily, the guy was light, otherwise, Lin Quan's backside would probably have made intimate contact with the earth. Vicente Del Bosque and the Spanish coaching staff couldn't stop smiling after seeing this goal. Not bad at all. This kid can not only score but also assist his teammates. His teamwork with his teammates in the attacking third is excellent. You can't tell he's a newcomer at all, Coach Tony said incredulously, even though they had already assessed Lin Quan's abilities before recruiting him. However, Lin Quan's performance on the field still surprised them greatly. Their previous concerns about integrating into the team's tactical system and failing to coordinate with teammates didn't materialize at all. This kid was like a universal key, plugging in and using immediately, with no adaptation issues. With the team leading by a large margin, the coaching staff was very confident. Vicente Del Bosque glanced at his bench, discussing who to substitute to get a feel for the game. Morata nervously watched Del Bosque, silently chanting, "Pick me, pick me, pick me." But Del Bosque's gaze swept over him quickly, without lingering. This left Morata quite disappointed. Just as he was feeling dejected, he heard the assistant coach call his name, "Morata, Navas, Martinez, take off your jackets and warm up." Morata jumped up, excitedly took off his jacket, and ran like a rabbit to the sidelines to warm up. The veteran players on the bench, including Raul, couldn't help but laugh at Morata's excited appearance. The atmosphere of the national team. It's been so long. Raul felt a pang of emotion. He had been away from the national team for 6 years, and he truly hadn't expected to be called up again. Raul had a strained relationship with the renowned Spanish coach Aragonés and was sidelined by him. Later, when Vicente Del Bosque took over the national team, Spain faced a serious aging squad. To address this, Del Bosque boldly recruited new players, abandoning many veterans, including Raul. Raul was deeply resentful. To secure a place in the national team, he left his beloved Real Madrid and transferred to the Bundesliga to maintain his competitive edge. Under his leadership, Schalke 04 made history by reaching the Champions League semi-finals, achieving their best result in club history. Even with his outstanding performance in the Bundesliga, he still didn't receive a call-up to the national team. This finally led Raul to give up hope, and this summer he transferred to a Middle Eastern league, intending to earn some retirement funds before retiring. Unexpectedly, in this semi-retired state, he was called up to the national team. Glancing at Coach Del Bosque, Raul roughly guessed a coach's intentions. The Spanish team currently had a wealth of talent and didn't need an old player like him. The other side recruited him, probably as compensation for veteran players after winning the World Cup and European Championship, ensuring stable results. Besides that, it was likely to help mentor the team's newcomers, especially the young number 30 player on the field. On the field, the Spanish team, leading by a large margin, played with increasing ease. They displayed dazzling combinations in the attacking third. Their players' flair and imagination gradually emerging, making the game a pleasure to watch. In the stands, the 5,000 Spanish fans who had traveled with the team sang and danced, enjoying the match with great joy. Meanwhile, the larger number of Belarusian fans began to leave, those remaining lacking the energy to cheer for their home team. Their team had been thoroughly outplayed, After 3 consecutive losses, the next match was a battle for honor. In the 56th minute, the Spanish team executed a brilliant attacking move, passing the ball into the penalty area after 13 consecutive one-touch passes. The Belarusian players were already bewildered by the passing, resulting in serious lapses in their marking. Pedro received the ball inside the penalty area and slotted it into the empty net, extending the lead once again. It was practically a cross into the opponent's goal. Before Pedro even shot, the opposing goalkeeper had already misjudged the situation and lost his defensive position. After scoring, Pedro excitedly ran around the field. He had many chances throughout the match, but hadn't capitalized on them. Seeing his team's newcomers score 3 goals, and Silva on the other side also scoring, leaving him without a goal, Pedro was anxious. Fortunately, after wasting so many opportunities, he finally seized one. Now there was no psychological pressure. The one who provided the assist for Pedro was none other than Lin Quan. He could have actually shot himself, just like the pass Iniesta gave him in the first half. But he sensed Pedro's anxiety and thus gave him the chance. The opportunity was given. Whether Pedro could seize it depended on his own ability. If Pedro had wasted this brilliant pass, he probably wouldn't have passed to Pedro again under similar circumstances. With the team holding a commanding lead and all 3 forwards having scored, Del Bosque could finally make personnel adjustments with peace of mind. In the 65th minute, Spain made substitutions, with Xavi, Iniesta, Pedro, and others being replaced. Morata, Navas, and Martinez came on. Lin Quan dropped back to the attacking midfield position, with Morata leading the attack as the lone striker. "Good bro, pass me the ball more often later, I want to score too." Chapter 79. A super huge mistake. Both being newcomers, Lin Quan scored 3 goals in his starting appearance. He, as a substitute, should at least score 1 or 2, right? If he doesn't score, the media will compare him to Lin Quan, and he'll be embarrassed. "Okay, you make a good run, and I'll pass you the ball." Lin Quan is now playing as an attacking midfielder. He's no longer so focused on scoring goals, but rather wants to try his hand at organizing the attack. The Belarusian players were already stunned. The opponent scored 5 goals in just 50 minutes, anyone would be bewildered. But now, seeing the opponent bring on a young player whose name they didn't even know, they felt insulted. Thus, Morata was in trouble. He saw from the sidelines that the opponents had lost their fighting spirit and weren't very strong, so he thought he could at least score 1 or 2 goals. But when he came on, he found that the opponent's defense was anything but weak. Every time he got the ball, the opponents treated him like their mortal enemy, charging and knocking him over. Poor Morata, under the intense physical challenges and collisions from the opposing team, couldn't even hold on to the ball, let alone score. He was surrounded by the most defenders, and Lin Quan couldn't risk passing him the ball. "Alvaro, play smarter. Don't fight the defenders physically, you need to run." Seeing Morata being tackled to the ground again, Lin Quan went over to help him up and couldn't help but remind him. Morata nodded heavily. After a series of physical battles, he realized that the Belarusian defenders were all muscular men. His small frame really couldn't withstand them. So he humbly took Lin Quan's advice, no longer foolishly standing in the penalty area waiting for the ball, but starting to increase his movement, trying to receive the ball while running and create shooting opportunities. In the 68th minute, Martinez intercepted the ball in the backfield and passed it to Cazorla, who then passed it to Lin Quan. Lin Quan passed the ball to Silva and broke forward. Silva made a precise through pass, finding Lin Quan in the penalty area. Lin Quan spotted Morata making a run out of the corner of his eye and passed the ball across to him, a perfect scoring opportunity. Unfortunately, Morata was a little too slow and failed to get into position, the ball being cleared by the opposing defender. "Sorry, mine." Morata gestured apologetically. His coordination with his teammate was lacking, he was a fraction too slow in his run, otherwise it would have been a golden chance. Fortunately, with a strong midfield, Spain's strikers had no shortage of scoring opportunities. In the 83rd minute, Morata finally scored. Fabregas intercepted the ball in the attacking third and passed it across to Lin Quan in the center of the penalty area. Lin Quan chipped the ball over the on-rushing goalkeeper and, facing an empty net, selflessly passed it to his teammate. Morata didn't waste Lin Quan's assist, easily tapping the ball into the empty net, 6'0". This was Morata's first goal for the national team, and Lin Quan also achieved a hat-trick of assists, single-handedly contributing to all 6 of Spain's goals. After scoring that goal, the Spanish players seemed to relax and play a more relaxed style of football. Completely stunned, the Belarusian players appeared to have given up the fight as well. Ultimately, Spain secured a resounding 6-0 victory over Belarus away from home, achieving their 2nd consecutive win in this qualifying campaign. Next, they will host their toughest opponent in the group, France. After the match, Lin Quan, who had performed exceptionally well throughout, was besieged by reporters. If he didn't speak, they probably wouldn't let him return to the locker room. Reluctantly, he had to give an interview. "Lin, I'm a reporter from AS. What's your assessment of today's match? My teammates played exceptionally well today. We executed the coach's tactics diligently, and after a tough game, we finally won. We had a lot of fun playing this match." A tough game? If we hadn't watched the game live, I almost would have believed it. However, the reporters assumed he was just being polite to the opponent and didn't call him out on it. A reporter from AS pressed further, "What's your assessment of breaking your teammate Fabregas's record for the youngest player to appear for the Spanish national team? Cesc is an excellent player, and also a senior and teammate of mine in the national team. There's a lot I can learn from him. Breaking this record doesn't mean anything, it just constantly reminds me that I'm still far behind these seniors. They've been playing for the national team for many years, while I'm still just a newcomer. So I need to work even harder to follow in their footsteps and win more honors for the national team." The reporters were a little surprised. This guy's words were quite eloquent. A reporter from America quickly shoved a microphone at Lin. "Lin, do you know you just broke the record for youngest goal scorer and youngest hat-trick scorer?" Lin Quan shook his head. "I haven't been paying attention to those. I just want to focus on the game with my teammates, to give the fans more exciting matches, and to win more honors." The press officer, hearing Lin Quan's answer and glancing at Morata on the other side, who was beaming with pride after scoring a goal and bragging to the reporter, couldn't help but sigh. How can there be such a difference between people? Lin Quan didn't care about these records, but the Spanish media did. After the match, because the team had won a resounding victory away from home, the whole of Spain was in a frenzy of celebration. And among them, as the team's biggest contributor to the victory, Lin Quan was naturally lauded by the Spanish media. Headlines included, "A prodigy emerges out of nowhere. He's the one Spain has been searching for," and instant fame. 16-year-old breaks 6 national team records in one match. 6 goals in a single match. Who dares say Spain's attack is weak? Aiming for the Brazil World Cup, who can stop the Spanish national team? The media hype turned Lin Quan, who was not particularly famous before, into Spain's hottest star. Highlights of his match against Belarus were everywhere online. Under each highlight reel, countless Spanish netizens engaged in heated discussions. "This guy, cover up his jersey number, isn't he Messi? That breakthrough has that Messi vibe? Tears welling up, my Spanish national team has finally found a suitable striker. Lin is only 16 this year, he can play for the national team for at least 20 years, 20 years, haha, I'm laughing so hard I'm waking up. Lin is so good, why did Barcelona loan him out? Exactly, Barcelona should recall him quickly, so we can see him perform in La Liga. La Liga is a higher level than the Bundesliga, and it's more technically oriented, they really should recall him. Otherwise I'm worried he'll ruin his game in the Bundesliga." The heated online discussions brought Lin Quan a huge number of fans. His account, which originally had only over 10,000 followers, saw its follower count skyrocket to 500,000 in less than 3 days after the match, and it's still growing by tens of thousands every day. The constant stream of notifications and fan comments kept his phone on a constant alarm clock. Because there was simply too much information, Lin Quan had to turn off the notifications to finally have some peace and quiet. Although he had already made a name for himself in the Bundesliga, he wasn't very well known in Spain. This match was truly a breakthrough for him. At less than 17 years old, he had become the attacking core of a world champion team, and on the Mediterranean island of Malta, Guardiola was enjoying the sun and sand, on his honeymoon. He put down his newspaper, a satisfied smile on his face. This kid seemed much more promising than he had been when he was playing football. He hadn't been nearly as successful in the national team back then. Fortunately, he had some achievements as a coach, otherwise, he might have been overshadowed by this kid. But this kid was progressing so rapidly, at this rate, next year's Golden Boy Award, the World Cup the year after, even the Ballon d'Or. Guardiola dared not think any further, because even he felt the pressure. He quickly sat up and picked up the information on Bayern Munich and the Bundesliga to examine it carefully. Although he hasn't officially taken office yet, it's essential to do some preparatory work. Otherwise, if he goes to Bayern next year and the team doesn't perform well, he'll truly lose to his son. Sarah, watching from the sidelines, was both amused and annoyed. They had agreed to a relaxing honeymoon, but Guardiola, after only a few days of rest, has turned into a workaholic again. And what's igniting his fighting spirit isn't the football fanatic Mourinho, but his adopted son. Is this really necessary? Pep, your damn competitive spirit. I'm so stupid. I didn't notice when I set the timer last night. I uploaded chapter 80 before chapter 79 was even posted. Chapter 80. Real Madrid and Barcelona couldn't sit still any longer. Inside the Barcelona club in Catalonia, Barcelona president Rosell hung up the phone with a smile, but the next second, his face suddenly darkened. Damn Guardiola. Damn Lin Quan. Rosell cursed inwardly, then forced himself to calm down. He had just been called by Silvio Berlusconi, president of Serie A giants AC Milan. Berlusconi had taken a liking to Lin Quan, who had performed exceptionally well in the Bundesliga and for the national team, and inquired about selling Lin Quan to AC Milan, offering a transfer fee of €45 million to compensate Barcelona. Berlusconi rarely intervened in AC Milan's transfer dealings. These matters were usually handled by his longtime partner, Galliani. But this time, he personally intervened, ostensibly out of respect for him as Barcelona president, but in reality, he was extremely eager to acquire Lin Quan. The winter break hadn't even started, and he was already so impatient. Even if Rosell was a football ignoramus, he knew that this young man and his team had become incredibly popular. But Barcelona couldn't possibly earn that transfer fee. Their contract renewal with Lin Quan wasn't finalized yet, only 6 months remained. No one would be foolish enough to pay a hefty transfer fee for a 6-month contract. If anyone leaked the contract details, they'd be left with nothing, earning nothing. Even if someone were willing to pay, they'd likely only pay the €5 million release clause, not a penny more. Nobody would be stupid enough to give them €40 million for free. Moreover, selling a player requires the player's consent. If Lin Quan didn't agree, they couldn't sell him. Even if it were €450 million, they'd be powerless to sell. Thinking about this, Rosell was furious. That damn brat, why wouldn't he renew his contract with Barcelona? If he did, Barcelona would have the upper hand, able to do whatever they wanted with him. But now, Barcelona was completely at a disadvantage. His refusal to renew meant they couldn't do anything. It's like having a mind but no way to develop it. This must be Guardiola's doing, secretly trying to sabotage him. Rosell blamed the problem on Lin Quan's adoptive father, Guardiola, completely unaware that he himself had caused the problem. Meanwhile, in a restaurant in Catalonia, the Real Madrid president met the person he needed to see. Here's what you wanted. Don't forget what you promised me. Don't worry, Luis, as long as you resign from Barcelona, the Celta Vigo managerial position is ready for you. Celta Vigo is Real Madrid's junior partner. The two clubs have a close relationship. Real Madrid wields significant influence in Celta Vigo, and the managerial position is currently vacant. Florentino's promise doesn't seem to be empty words. Enrique nodded and handed over the documents. The old man casually opened the documents, trying to appear nonchalant. However, after seeing a certain entry, his trembling hands betrayed his inner turmoil. However, Enrique on the other side didn't notice this. He was incredibly nervous, looking around anxiously, like a thief caught in the act, afraid of being discovered. Fortunately, the restaurant was in a secluded location, and Florentino had cautiously booked the entire place beforehand, so no one noticed them. After reviewing the entire document, Florentino smiled. Rosell, how could you be so careless? Such a gem in the youth team, and you didn't renew his contract, instead trying to expel him. Well, you've messed up now. Haven't you? If you don't want him, then I won't be polite. He had a premonition that if he could really bring Lin Quan back from Camp Nou to the Bernabeu, the sensation and impact of this transfer might be even greater than when he poached Figo from Barcelona. After defeating Belarus, the Spanish national team flew back to Spain from Eastern Europe without stopping to prepare for the upcoming group stage match against France. France's attacking line was very strong. Ribéry, Giroud, and Benzema were all key strikers or wingers for top clubs. However, their midfield is a level weaker than the Spanish national team. 4 months ago, in the quarterfinals of the European Championship, Spain defeated France 2-0, eliminating them. In their historical head-to-head record, Spain holds the upper hand with 14 wins, 10 losses, and 7 draws. In the last decade, Spain has only lost to France once, in the round of 16 of the 2006 World Cup. Since then, the two teams have met 3 times, with Spain winning all 3 encounters. Although they have the advantage on paper and the historical head-to-head statistics are favorable, Spain remains cautious. Vicente Del Bosque and his assistants have carefully studied their opponents' characteristics and developed targeted strategies. The French team is characterized by its physicality and strength. Their players have a high proportion of black players, who possess excellent physical attributes, speed, and stamina. Their weaknesses are a lack of agility and creativity. Since Zinedine Zidane's retirement, the French team has lacked a truly dazzling midfield maestro. Look at the French midfield: Alou Diarra, Marseille's, Matuidi, Paris Saint-Germain, M'Vila, Rennes, Martin, Solchau, Cabet, Newcastle, Maluda, Chelsea, Nasri, Manchester City. Except for Nasri, they're all a bunch of rough, hard-working players. Asking them to play fancy tricks is out of the question, so France relies on counter-attacking speed and sheer attacking power to win. But surprisingly, Spain is quite afraid of this kind of physical, strong midfield. They lack technique, but they have great attacking power and a wide interception range. Like Real Madrid's Pepe, facing 3 or 4 of them would intimidate anyone. Don't give them a chance to foul, keep the ball moving, add more passing, don't hold on to the ball too much. France has several fast strikers, getting them to intercept and launch counter-attacks is very dangerous, understand? Vicente Del Bosque's reputation as a great coach isn't for nothing. He understands his team's strengths and weaknesses, and he also knows the characteristics of his opponents. Therefore, they decided to play to their strengths and avoid their weaknesses, utilizing ball control and passing tactics to defeat the strong opponent. In addition, taking advantage of the opponent's strong defense and tendency to foul, Del Bosque increased practice of set-piece tactics. The Spanish team has many free-kick masters, and Lin Quan originally didn't plan to join in. However, Iniesta wanted to compare his skills, so Lin Quan had no choice but to show off. How was it? Xavi, Fabregas, Silva, and others stood beside him, commenting on the two players' free-kick techniques. Lin's free kicks are more varied, Xavi's are more imaginative, Fabregas affirmed after watching for a while. Silva nodded in agreement. Xavi, however, asked, "I'm asking you, when you saw Lin's free kicks, did anything come to mind?" "What came to mind?" The two looked at each other, and finally Fabregas tentatively asked, "You mean, Messi?" "That's right, don't you think his free kick style is very similar to Messi's?" Hearing Xavi's words, the two observed carefully for a while. David Silva has never been Messi's teammate and doesn't know much about Messi's style, so he didn't comment. Fabregas, familiar with Messi's footwork, watched closely for a while and nodded, saying, "It really is quite similar. Now that you mention it, I feel that not only his free kicks are like Messi's, but his style of play on the field is also very similar." Xavi exclaimed, "Seeing him is like seeing a young version of Messi, their styles are so alike." Just as Lin Quan and Iniesta were having a great time, Vicente Del Bosque appeared on the sidelines and called out to Lin Quan, "Lin, come here." Lin Quan ran over in confusion. "Coach, you called for me?" Del Bosque nodded, "I've watched your Bundesliga matches. You took several penalties for Werder Bremen. Were you the team's first-choice penalty taker?" Lin Quan shook his head, "No, but the coaching staff always let me take the penalties I win." "Have you missed any penalties so far?" "No, I've scored all my penalties so far." "Do you want to be the national team's first-choice penalty taker?" Lin Quan was a little surprised and looked at Del Bosque seriously. The veteran coach's expression was both calm and serious, showing no sign of joking. This isn't quite right, is it?" Lin Quan had only just joined the team. Appointing him as the first penalty taker might be difficult to justify. Bosque glanced at him and said, "Do you know when the European Golden Boy Award is given out?" Chapter 81. The French team arrives. Lin Quan hadn't really paid attention to this issue, because he wasn't a favorite this year. He'd only played for less than half a season, and although his performance was decent, the time was too short, making him far inferior to those favorites who had been playing for a year or two. The Golden Boy Award is selected in late October each year and announced before Christmas in December. Now is the crucial period for the Golden Boy selection. The Spanish Football Federation is going all out to win Isco, and I want to try to help you. Between Isco and Lin Quan, Vicente Del Bosque definitely favored Lin Quan. After all, the latter was a player he had personally promoted, while Isco hadn't yet been selected for the national team. Between the two, he would definitely choose Lin Quan. Even if we don't win this year, we still need to create momentum, making it easier to select next year. Besides, our team's penalty kicks have always been inconsistent. Almost all the players on the field have missed penalties at some point. This was Del Bosque's reason for insisting on doing this. The players on the team were simply too unreliable. If they were even slightly more reliable, he wouldn't have entrusted the crucial task of taking penalty kicks to a young player who wasn't even 17 years old. Lin Quan still had reservations. To be honest, he was somewhat tempted by Bosque's suggestion. Who wouldn't want the privilege of taking penalty kicks, which could increase the number of goals? Perhaps taking a few more penalty kicks in a match would secure the Golden Boot Award for top scorer. And according to the system's rules, winning the Golden Boot Award would grant points. But if this privilege were truly given to him, would the veteran players on the team be satisfied? He didn't want to disrupt the team's internal atmosphere and upset the veteran players. So he thought for a moment and said, "Thank you for your kindness, but I feel it's unfair to the other players to directly assign me the penalty kicks." So, seeing that he was about to refuse, Del Bosque sighed and changed his mind. "Alright, in that case, we'll add you to the penalty kick list. You and the other players will take turns taking penalties. Whoever misses, it's the next player's turn. If they don't miss, they keep taking until they do. What do you think?" This suggestion was good. It didn't give him special privileges, but it also gave him the opportunity to compete with his teammates. If his teammates missed their penalties, then he would have a chance, and his teammates wouldn't have anything to complain about. "Okay, I'll follow your arrangement." Del Bosque shook his head. This kid, everyone else was scrambling for the penalty kick privileges, but he was offering it up, and he didn't want it. While Spain was in intense preparation, their opponents, the French team, had already arrived in Madrid by plane. Because the home team was strong, the Spanish fans didn't do anything excessive to the away team. Many fans flocked to the national team's training base to cheer on their team. "Is that our Messi? Wow, that dribble was beautiful. Tisk tisk, that footwork, no wonder he came from La Masia." Outside the training base, a steady stream of fans arrived specifically to see Lin Quan. Most of these fans had fallen in love with a young player after watching the Spain vs Belarus match live. They held up various banners, some wearing Lin Quan's number 30 jersey for the national team. Others holding his number 10 jersey from Werder Bremen, their faces beaming with excitement. "Tisk tisk, you have quite a few fans." Morata felt a pang of envy and jealousy. Why didn't he, tall and handsome, have so many fans? It must be because he hadn't scored enough goals. If he could score 3 goals, these people would definitely become his loyal fans. Compared to the captain and the others, I'm still far behind. Lin Quan looked towards the sidelines, where Casillas and Ramos were signing autographs for his fans. The two players had a huge number of fans, and their arms were aching from signing autographs. They hadn't even escaped the crowd of fans yet. The national team's training base is in Madrid, which is Real Madrid's territory. Ramos and Casillas are both key players for Real Madrid, so it's not surprising that they received a warm welcome from the fans on their home turf. Conversely, the Barcelona players were much more low-key in Madrid because they knew that even with the national team, many Madrid fans still didn't welcome them. Like the boos Pique received when he entered, although this was partly due to his 5-finger gesture on the field, the animosity between Barcelona and Real Madrid runs deep, and mutual attacks and slander between the two teams' fans are commonplace. Add to that the separatist movement in Catalonia, and things become even more complicated. In this situation, it's better to keep a low profile. This is also why Lin Quan didn't sign autographs for his supporters. Although he never played for Barcelona, he is nominally still a Barcelona player. So he was worried he'd be booed too, especially since he'd benefited from Pique's influence before. Around 6:30 p.m., the Spanish national team players boarded the bus and headed to the stadium for this match, the Calderón Stadium. This might be the last time the Spanish national team plays a World Cup qualifier at the Calderón Stadium. After Atletico Madrid received investment from Wanda and decided to build a new stadium, the Calderón Stadium is likely to face demolition. Therefore, among the several candidate stadiums bidding to host this group stage match, the Spanish Football Federation specifically chose the Calderón Stadium, abandoning stadiums with better conditions such as the Bernabeu. This match between Spain and France was a key battle in the third round of the 2014 Brazil World Cup European qualifiers. In addition to many Spanish television stations choosing to broadcast it live, Sky Sports also broadcast a match. Because the match between England and Poland is not until tomorrow afternoon, this match also received a lot of attention in the UK, and Sky Sports even arranged for a top commentator like Martin Tyler to commentate on the match. Spain has achieved a 24-game winning streak in the World Cup qualifiers. In their last match, they thrashed Belarus 6-0 away, and the team is currently in red-hot form. Besides the World Cup winning players, they also have some new faces. Like their number 30, Lin Quan, the attacking linchpin of Werder Bremen, currently fourth in the Bundesliga. He has scored 9 goals in 6 Bundesliga appearances, averaging 1.5 goals per game, the highest efficiency in the entire Bundesliga. For the national team, he has only played 1 match for Spain, but has already scored 3 goals and provided 3 assists. Although young, this player has already shown superstar potential. And I believe there will be many top clubs chasing him this winter. Many others, like Martin Tyler, are paying close attention to Lin Quan. For example, the French commentators emphasized Lin Quan's threat to the French team in their pre-match analysis. Ribéry, who has faced Lin Quan in the league, also stressed in a pre-match interview that Lin Quan is Spain's most dangerous player. Given the French team's current form, they wouldn't stand much of a chance against a Spain team without Lin Quan. And with Lin Quan joining and Spain evolving into their ultimate form, their chances of winning against Spain would likely be even lower. Although I hate to say it, we have to admit that in terms of team strength, we are no longer a world-class team. The gap between us and the World Cup and European Championship double champions, Spain, is huge. Our goal in this match should be to secure a draw. As long as we don't lose away from home, we'll have a chance to win when we return to our home ground in the next leg. The French commentator was pessimistic, and their coach was equally pessimistic. They adopted a defensive posture for this match, intending to play cautiously. During the European Championship, they played freely against Spain, only to be defeated 2-0. Now that their opponent is stronger, wouldn't they be courting disaster if they continue to play like that? Of course, playing cautiously doesn't mean they've given up. On the contrary, compressing their formation back into their own half and forcing the opponent's formation to push forward would be more conducive to their counterattacks. Although Spain's passing and possession system is impressive, France prioritizes efficiency over possession. If they can score 1 or 2 goals on the counterattack, they are very likely to win. What good is Spain's high possession rate then? At 1945, players from both sides began to enter the field. Both teams used a 4-3-3 formation in this match. The starting lineups were as follows: Spain. 1 Casillas, 17 Arbeloa, 16 Busquets, 15 Ramos, 18 Alba, 8 Xavi, 10 Fabregas, 6 Iniesta, 21 Silva, 30 Lin Quan, 11 Pedro. France. 1 Lloris, the one from the 2022 World Cup final, 2 Debuchy, 21 Koscielny, 5 Sakho, 3 Evra, 6 Cabé, 17 Gonalons, 12 Machuti, 14 Menez, 10 Benzema, 7 Ribéry. After the national anthems were played and everyone shook hands, the time reached 8 p.m. With the referee's whistle, the match officially began. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 82: The Clash Between the Old and New World Champions. After the opening tip-off, Spain didn't rush into attacks, instead maintaining possession and slowly probing the French defense. France fielded 3 defensive midfielders today, demonstrating strong sweeping ability in their own half. Judging from their early runs and interceptions, the midfield battle between the two sides was likely to be intense. For the first 5 minutes, Spain firmly controlled possession. After probing the strengths and weaknesses of the French defense, Spain began to increase the pace. In the 7th minute, Lin Quan dribbled past a defender on the right side of the penalty area. However, just as he had gotten past the defender and was about to enter the box, he was tripped from behind. Spain won a free kick in the attacking third. The ball was very close to the edge of the penalty area, a direct shot would be blocked by the wall, and the position wasn't particularly good. Lin Quan discussed the situation with his teammates and took a tactical free kick, passing the ball back to set up a teammate. Xavi, who was initially behind Lin Quan, suddenly moved aside as the ball approached, giving his teammate the shooting opportunity. Spain's center-back Ramos unexpectedly appeared from behind and unleashed a powerful shot towards the goal. The French players, initially fooled by Xavi, were completely unprepared for the shot to come from the opposing center-back. Goalkeeper Lloris stood still, making no reaction. However, Ramos's shot went over the crossbar, much to the relief of the French players. Ramos couldn't help but laugh as he watched the ball fly into the stands. Having a defender take a long-range shot was somewhat unreliable, given their usual tendency to clear the ball with long kicks. In the 11th minute, Lin Quan dropped back to receive the ball, Iniesta moved to the wing, and the two executed a brilliant combination on the flank. 1-2s, 2-2s, seemingly about to penetrate the penalty area, but the ball was cleared out of bounds by the opposing defender. Spain's attacking intensity was considerable in these few minutes, but they struggled to break through the French defense. The opposing defensive midfielder covered a wide area, their defensive intensity was high, and their physical attributes were undeniable. The Spanish players couldn't gain an advantage in physical duels. However, the French team focused most of their energy on defense, leaving them with too few players in the attacking third. Several counter-attacks were thwarted by the Spanish in their own half due to lack of support. Time ticked by, with neither side seeming to have a clear answer to the other. Lin Quan noticed a tight defense in the penalty area and the intense midfield battle, so he deliberately dropped back, forming a diamond formation with Iniesta and others. This brought the forwards and attacking midfielders closer together, shortening passing distances and reducing the risk of interceptions. Moreover, by dropping back, he effectively became an attacking midfielder, adding another player to the midfield. As a result, the Spanish team gradually gained the upper hand in the midfield battles, and their ability to deliver threatening passes improved. On the sidelines, Vicente Del Bosque saw Lin Quan's choice and nodded in satisfaction. He had also noticed the problem and was about to remind his players. He hadn't expected the opponent to discover it himself and make a timely adjustment. This kid has a strong ability to read the game. In the 18th minute, Iniesta's breakthrough on the left side of the penalty area was intercepted, and he passed the ball back to a teammate. Xavi passed the ball to Lin Quan, who dribbled laterally, created space, glanced at the goalkeeper's position, and unleashed a powerful right-footed shot from the edge of the penalty area. The shot was of extremely high quality, but because he aimed too high, the ball struck the post. The more than 50,000 fans at the Calderon Stadium cried out in unison, that shot would have been a goal if it had been just a little off target. The French team was startled and quickly strengthened their defense against long-range shots. Seeing the opponents strengthen their defense near the penalty area, Lin Quan decisively ran to the wing and began launching attacks from both sides of the penalty area. In the 22nd minute, Lin Quan broke through on the right wing, drew the opposing defenders, and passed the ball to his teammate Pedro, who had cut inside. Pedro feinted a shot and then passed the ball directly to David Silva on the other side. Silva received the ball on the left side of the penalty area and fired a low right-footed shot, which went through the legs of a defender but was easily saved by Lloris. It was a good chance, and the shot was well executed, but unfortunately, it didn't get past the goalkeeper's outstretched fingers. 3 minutes later, Lin Quan dribbled the ball down the wing again, and near the byline, he crossed it into the box. It was a low, fast cross, and Iniesta, David Silva, and Pedro all simultaneously slid in to shoot. If any one of them had touched the ball, it would have been a goal. However, all three were short players. The tallest, Iniesta, was only 1.71 meters. Their legs were just a few centimeters shorter, and none of them managed to touch the ball, which slid wide past a goal. A collective sigh rippled through the Calderon Stadium. The three players, having missed their chance, exchanged glances and couldn't help but laugh. What could they do? They were simply born that tall. The French team broke out in a cold sweat. If it had been a tall striker like Giroud, that shot would likely have gone in. They couldn't let this kid continue to cross so recklessly from the byline. Who knew if they'd have such good luck again? The French team faced immense defensive pressure, with even forwards like Benzema dropping back to defend. However, this seemed ineffective. Their retreat actually relieved Spain's defensive pressure, allowing them to commit more players to attack. In the 25th minute, Lin Quan dribbled down the wing again, and France's fullback Debuchy immediately rushed forward to intercept his cross. Debuchy, formerly a winger, was converted to fullback at Lille. He's a player known for his strong attack but weak defense. After reviewing Debuchy's characteristics, Lin Quan made a decision. He didn't pass but instead dribbled towards the penalty area. Debuchy blocked his path, retreating and positioning himself to push Lin Quan towards the byline. Lin Quan bent his right knee, feigning a forward breakthrough. Debuchy, based on his defensive experience, judged that Lin Quan intended to break through on his right, so he immediately shifted his footing to defend that side. However, after adjusting his balance, he realized it was a feint. As he moved, Lin Quan swiftly touched the ball with his left foot, flicking it towards the byline. He then circled around the byline, overtaking on a curve. Debuchy was dumbfounded. Could this even be played like that? Benzema, the byline prince, was also stunned. Was this some kind of copy? From the perspective of the French fans behind the French goal, the ball appeared to be out of bounds. They booed Lin Quan wildly and pressured the referee, shouting that the ball was out of play and demanding the whistle. The byline referee stared intently at the ball, ready to blow his whistle immediately if it went out of bounds. But the ball remained just touching the byline, never crossing it. After getting past Debuchy, Lin Quan, before the recovering French player could clear him, took the ball, accelerated, and surged into the penalty area. Debuchy was outmaneuvered, and Lin Quan was back in the box, creating a tense atmosphere on the right side of the French penalty area. They hadn't forgotten their coach's pre-match instructions. The biggest threat in the Spanish team is that number 30 player. This kid scored 3 goals in the last match. If the defense against him loosens up even slightly, he could score. Without much thought, Scacerni and Sacco almost instinctively lunged at Lin Quan. Seeing their aggressive approach, Lin Quan wasn't confident he could get past them quickly enough to shoot. He glanced at the goalkeeper's position and saw him standing near the goal, blocking his shooting angle. This positioning meant that most of the French goal was open. If he could pass the ball out, it would be an open goal opportunity. So he flicked the ball, feigning a shot. Scacerni immediately raised his leg to interfere, and Sacco hurriedly moved forward with his arms behind his back to block. This was exactly what Lin Quan was waiting for. Seeing Scacerni raise his foot, he immediately passed the ball across to the open space in the middle of the penalty area. If his teammates had good coordination, someone should have made a run forward to shoot at this moment. Sure enough, as he passed the ball, a red figure wearing the number 6 jersey rushed out from behind, caught up with the ball, and slid in to score. In the 26th minute of the match, Lin Quan assisted Iniesta to score, giving Spain a 1-0 lead over France. I haven't been in good form these past few days and keep getting the update time wrong. I originally intended to update this chapter at 6 p.m. tonight, but somehow it was set for 6 p.m. tomorrow, and I didn't even realize it myself. If it weren't for your urging for an update, there would have been another glitch tomorrow. Chapter 83 Black Whistle? After nearly half an hour of siege, Spain finally broke through. If they hadn't scored soon, the game would have become much more unpredictable. Prolonged attacks without a breakthrough can easily cause players to become complacent, leading to counter-attacks. Seeing the ball fly into the net, Vicente Del Bosque and coach Tony embraced excitedly. Players and coaches on the bench and in the stands rushed out, some hugging their colleagues, others running onto the field to celebrate with their teammates. The crowd at the Calderón Stadium erupted in a deafening roar the moment Iniesta scored. Spanish fans were ecstatic, waving their flags and chanting the players' names. Previously, they had dominated possession, but the team's failure to score had made them anxious. But now, with a 1-goal lead, the fans were relieved. Indeed, Spain is invincible. Even a top team like France couldn't stop us, who else can? Thinking about this, many Spanish fans are already dreaming about next year's Confederations Cup and even the World Cup the year after. Given Spain's current strength and dominance in football, these two competitions should be a sure thing. Spain is very likely to become the first team in nearly 50 years to successfully defend their title. On the French side, Didier Deschamps, the new national team coach who took over in the summer, sat on the bench, chin in hand, watching the Spanish players celebrating on the field. His gaze was fixed on the number 30 player on the Spanish team, and he couldn't help but mutter a curse under his breath. His luck was terrible. The tactics he had painstakingly developed against Spain had been ruined by this kid. After Spain won the World Cup and defended their European Championship title, the whole world was studying how to play against the Spanish national team, just as all clubs were studying how to counter Barcelona. The two teams have very similar tactics and playing styles, and there is a significant overlap in the players on the field. Therefore, the tactics clubs use to counter Barcelona can also be used at the national team level. In fact, the effect might be even better, because the Spanish national team is clearly not as strong as Barcelona, and they lack a Messi in attack. The most effective tactic against Barcelona is Mourinho's defensive counter-attacking strategy. Back in 2010, he led Inter Milan to eliminate Barcelona in the Champions League, winning the title that year. Last season, Chelsea, which he built, eliminated Barcelona in the Champions League semi-finals with an excellent defensive counter-attacking strategy. His own Real Madrid also snatched a La Liga title from Barcelona last season, and even defeated Barcelona away from home. It can be said that Mourinho is the most successful coach in recent years in dealing with Barcelona. Although he doesn't win every time, his success rate is the highest compared to others. Therefore, Deschamps chose to borrow Mourinho's tactics, intending to use defensive counter-attacking to deal with Spain. If this were a month ago, he felt that the French team might have close to a 50% chance of winning. The reason is simple: Spain's attack is weak, and it's difficult for them to break through France's defense. And if they just seize one opportunity, they can win the game. But now, the opposing team has a player with a playing style extremely similar to Messi, solving their lack of attacking firepower. This completely caught Deschamps off guard and disrupted his plans. Deschamps now doesn't even know if his tactics will still work. With Lin Quan, the Spanish national team has surpassed Barcelona in terms of strength. The French national team is clearly not as strong as Real Madrid. Last season, Real Madrid had 1 win, 2 losses, and 1 draw against Barcelona, clearly at a disadvantage. The French national team, weaker than Real Madrid, is facing a Spanish national team stronger than Barcelona, and their chances of winning are probably less than 10%. This analysis immediately made him pessimistic about the outcome of the match. Can the French team still turn the game around? The French team is going to have a tough time. With Lin Quan joining, Spain's attacking power has greatly increased, and the effectiveness of their strikerless tactics has reached a new level. The French team's defense is struggling to contain their attack. If they continue with their counter-attacking tactics, they will probably concede even more goals. In the Sky Sports commentary booth, Martin Tyler shook his head and sighed. They had hoped to witness a world-class match, but judging from the current situation on the field, the French team, apart from a slightly better defense than Belarus, hadn't done much better in other areas. Their attacks were ineffective, and their defense was ineffective. The opposing number 30's position in the attacking third was unpredictable, wandering around, sometimes on the front line, sometimes on the wing, creating significant difficulties for the French defense. If they continued playing like this, the French team was doomed. Trailing in the score, they were also behind in the game. The French players were frustrated. They had tried their best to defend. But simply defending didn't seem to be enough to win. They needed to attack. So, when the game restarted, Ribéry and Benzema discussed it and decided to focus more on attacking. The team was already behind. If they fought hard, they might be able to equalize or even reverse the score, but if they continued playing like this, they were destined to lose. The game restarted, and the French team, unwilling to fall behind, clearly increased their attacking commitments. Their midfielders lacked creativity, but their physical attributes were exceptional. With aggressive pressing, they easily dispossessed the Spanish players. In the 33rd minute, Cabe intercepted the ball in his own half and launched a long pass to the wing, finding French winger Ribéry. Ribéry received the ball, dribbled down the flank, and crossed. Benzema's low shot inside the box was saved by his club teammate Casillas. The corner was taken, Ramos headed the ball away, but the ball was controlled by a French player and passed back into the penalty area. Chaos erupted in the box, with Spanish defender Arbeloa and French winger Menez both falling to the ground. The ball was cleared out of bounds by someone. French players believed the Spanish defender had fouled in the box and surrounded the referee, demanding a penalty. The referee ignored them, awarding possession to France and allowing play to continue. Television replays showed Arbeloa making a pushing motion, suggesting a possible missed call. As the French pressed forward, their defense became increasingly vulnerable. Spain immediately seized the opportunity and launched a counter-attack. In the 36th minute, Spain quickly advanced into the attacking third, and Pedro's shot was tipped over the bar by the goalkeeper. Xavi took a corner kick from the left, and Ramos' header in the center of the penalty area hit the post. The ball bounced back, and Lin Quan received it in the penalty area. He attempted a first-time chip shot, aiming for the top right corner of the goal. However, the ball struck a defender's arm and went out of play. Spanish players immediately raised their hands to indicate a handball in the penalty area, and the referee promptly blew his whistle, pointing to the penalty spot. Spain was awarded a penalty. The decision was correct, but the French players couldn't accept it. They felt the referee had missed their previous penalty, and if that penalty hadn't been missed, this second penalty wouldn't have been awarded. This back and forth effectively gave the opponent 2 goals. So they rushed towards the referee, wanting to argue with him. Surrounded by French players, the referee retreated while pulling out yellow cards, showing them to Koscielny and Gonalons, among others. After receiving 2 yellow cards, the French players finally calmed down. However, their anger was building, like a volcano about to erupt, nearing its breaking point. According to Spain's penalty-taking order, Fabregas stood at the penalty spot, ready to take the shot. Fabregas glanced at the goalkeeper's position and chose to shoot towards the bottom left corner of the goal. Lloris accurately judged the direction of the shot and made a timely diving save. Fabregas clutched his head in frustration, his face filled with disbelief. He had missed the penalty. If that ball had gone in, the score would have been 2-0, and Spain would have the victory practically in their grasp. Now, the penalty was missed, the score remained the same, and the French team was completely enraged. The outcome of the match was now uncertain. Chapter 84 Puel's inner voice. When Fabregas stood at the penalty spot, Vicente Del Bosque and his assistant coaches jumped to their feet, ready to celebrate. They thought it was a game-winning shot, but Fabregas missed. This left the two, arms half-raised, somewhat embarrassed. Del Bosque and assistant coach Tony exchanged a glance, both with wry smiles. Why is it so hard for these guys to take a penalty? Who's next? Tony thought for a moment and replied, Xavi, he's pretty reliable, he shouldn't miss, right? Del Bosque outwardly agreed, but inwardly he was worried. Is Xavi really that reliable? Spain's poor penalty taking seems to be a glorious tradition. The Del Bosque era was considered relatively good. Even with Enrique's Spain practicing 1,000 penalties before a match, they were still eliminated in penalty shootouts, and in 2 consecutive World Cups, they were eliminated in penalty shootouts. Fabregas's missed penalty didn't significantly affect Spain's morale, but it greatly impacted the French team's morale. After the restart, the French team pressed forward relentlessly, launching a series of attacks on Spain. Due to the controversial decisions made earlier by the referee, it seemed as if he was intentionally or unintentionally trying to redeem himself for France after the restart. In the 41st minute, Ramos and Ribéry were both shown yellow cards for fouling each other during a challenge. 2 minutes later, Lin Quan was tripped in almost the same manner while dribbling, but the referee, who was right in front of him, made no call. This naturally angered the Spanish players. Busquets and Xavi, among others, surrounded the referee, believing his decisions were unfair. They argued that even without cards, a free kick should have been awarded. The referee didn't even issue a verbal warning, but instead showed yellow cards, not to the French defenders, but to Spain's midfielders Xavi and Busquets. This decision was met with boos from the more than 50,000 fans in attendance, who were extremely dissatisfied with the referee's decisions. Including the 2 yellow cards he issued to the French team earlier, he had issued 4 yellow cards in the first half due to protests from both teams regarding his officiating standards. These 4 yellow cards were evidence of his questionable officiating ability. Vicente Del Bosque, watching from the sidelines, couldn't stand it anymore and rushed out to protest to the 4th official. Hey, look what you've done. That's a yellow card. You don't punish the player who committed the foul, but instead show a yellow card to my player. Is this how you officiate? The 4th official gestured for Del Bosque to calm down, saying that if there was a problem, he could complain to FIFA. He was just the 4th official and couldn't change the referee's decision. Del Bosque knew that protesting to the 4th official was useless, but he was still very unhappy if he didn't protest. I will complain to FIFA. After saying this, The veteran coach angrily returned to the bench. Perhaps influenced by the boos from the fans, or perhaps because he had made amends, the referee finally calmed down. After showing the 2 yellow cards to the Spanish team, the referee's officiating returned to normal standards. In the 44th minute of the first half, Spain committed a defensive foul in their own half, conceding a free kick to the opposition in a less than ideal position. The decision itself wasn't problematic. But the home fans now tend to boo any referee who makes a decision against their team. France, however, seemed unaffected by the boos. Cabe took the free kick, and with limited time remaining in the first half, they opted for a direct cross into the box, allowing teammates to head the ball. Benzema, of similar height, outjumped his club teammate Ramos in the penalty area to win the first header. Instead of shooting directly, he passed the ball to teammate, Menez, who leaped high on the other side and headed the ball past Spain. It was a brilliant combination play, and France tenaciously equalized in the final minute of the first half thanks to this header. However, replays on the big screen showed that the goal might have been offside. At the moment Benzema headed the ball across the goal, Menez appeared to be offside. This further angered Spanish fans. Protests of a biased referee erupted, with some conspiracy theorists even suggesting the referee was on a mission from FIFA. They claimed FIFA didn't want Spain to defend their World Cup title and wanted to sabotage them. While this speculation lacked concrete evidence, once a conspiracy theory spread, more and more people would believe it. Even if FIFA immediately issued a statement clarifying the matter, it would likely be difficult to completely eliminate the influence of these conspiracy theories. After scoring, the French team was incredibly excited, celebrating wildly at the Calderon Stadium despite boos from over 50,000 fans. Being able to fight back from a deficit, a disadvantageous situation, and seemingly unfair refereeing was a huge boost for the French team, making them incredibly excited. The Spanish felt they had been unfairly treated by the referee, and the French team shared this belief. If they had lost this match, the French team would certainly have protested to FIFA as well. Of course, winning is a different story. By the time the French team finished celebrating, the first half had ended. After the restart, the referee immediately blew the whistle to end the first half. Players from both teams left the field and returned to their locker rooms. On the home team's side, the Spanish players had been affected by the referee's decisions in the final minutes of the first half, and their faces were grim, creating a terribly somber atmosphere within the team. Forget about the first half, forget about the referee's unfair decisions. What you need to do is play well and not be affected by these factors. Vicente Del Bosque wasn't a coach adept at motivating his players in the locker room. He was more like a Taoist master of laissez-faire, methodically explaining tactics and giving players specific instructions on how to play on the field, and that was it. Asking him to give the players a hairdressing like Ferguson was somewhat out of character. The motivators in the Spanish locker room were several of the national team's veteran captains, such as Puyol and Casillas. Seeing his teammates' dejected mood, Puyol stepped up. "Hey guys, we're not behind, this isn't the end of the world, there's no need to be so down. Even if this game ends in a draw, with our goal difference advantage, we can still top the group and directly qualify for the World Cup." The players looked up at their veteran captain, who hadn't played due to age and declining form. Puyol had undergone knee surgery this summer, but his recovery wasn't going well. This World Cup journey might very well be the last time their old captain fought alongside them. For them, missing this World Cup might mean another chance. But for Puyol, who was 34 years old, there was no next time. With our strength, plus the support of over 50,000 home fans, isn't 45 minutes in the second half enough for you to change the score? Do you really think that way? Guys, you are world champions, you are European champions, you are the strongest players in the world, no one can beat you. Puyol recalled the years he fought alongside his national team teammates, the images of lifting trophies together, and the honors they earned through hard work, and said emotionally, "Perhaps many people know that my knee injury is very serious, and I originally planned to announce my retirement next year. But Xavi persuaded me, hoping that I could accompany everyone to play in one more World Cup. I accepted Xavi's advice. It's not that I feel the national team can't do without me, but that I want to witness with everyone that we once again reach the top of the world and create an immortal dynasty for the Spanish national team. I hope that after playing in the World Cup and winning the World Cup trophy, I can calmly announce my retirement under the spotlight of the world, instead of leaving the field in disappointment, like a person tormented by injuries and defeated by illness. I can't play in this match, so I can only place my hopes on you guys, please. Pual's heartfelt speech deeply moved his teammates. Several of his former club and national team teammates rushed forward to give him warm hugs. The gloomy atmosphere that had permeated the team had vanished. In fact, Pual's public declaration of wanting to defend the World Cup title, a goal that everyone had only dared to keep to themselves, reignited the players' fighting spirit. The road to defending the title would undoubtedly be fraught with difficulties. It wouldn't be smooth sailing. The French team was merely one stumbling block on their path. Many more such obstacles would follow. If they couldn't even overcome the French team, how could they talk about defending the title? Seeing his teammates' fighting spirit restored, Pual joked, "Besides, we have a player like Lin on our team. As long as we pass the ball to him, he can pull off a miracle." It was unexpected, and quite fortunate, that this was featured on the Sanjiang recommendation page. Thank you all for your support, readers. I have some drafts saved up. Should I add another chapter? Chapter 85. Captain, please don't do this, I'm scared. Captain, don't be like that, I'm scared. Lin Quan feigned fear, laughing as he spoke. Pual laughed heartily. What's there to be afraid of? I think your ability is no less than Messi's. What Messi can do, you can certainly do too. This was half-truth. Having played alongside Messi, Pual couldn't possibly be unaware of Messi's true strength. Lin Quan was indeed very strong, but currently, he was still a step behind Messi. However, Spain's lineup was slightly better than Barcelona's, which could bridge that gap. Half-time quickly ended, and the second half began, with both sides switching sides. After the restart, both sides noticed a change in the opponent's tactics. France saw a glimmer of hope for victory, maintaining the high morale they had at the end of the first half, and began to launch more aggressive attacks in the midfield and forward areas, seemingly aiming to defeat Spain in one fell swoop. Spain's tactics became more targeted. They avoided France's powerful three defensive midfielder system, frequently targeting the flanks. Spain's flanks weren't particularly strong, neither of their flanks was particularly fast. However, they have one advantage that the French team lacks: their players can play in various positions in the attacking third. Furthermore, Lin Quan can also drift wide, allowing Pedro and David Silva to switch positions with him and combine with him on the flanks. A possession-based system fully utilizes the width of the field, stretching the opposing defenders, increasing passing space, and facilitating attacks. Spain executed this perfectly in the second half. After the start of the second half, Spain used a series of positional interchanges in the midfield and attacking third, completely confusing the French players. The reason this positional interchange tactic is so highly regarded is that it leaves the defenders disoriented. They don't know who to mark, and without effective communication and coordination, gaps in marking are easily created. Against world-class players, even a moment's hesitation could be exploited for a fatal blow. As the game progressed, the French team began to struggle. Their three defensive midfielders were forced to frequently drift to the flanks to assist their full-backs. The consequence of this was a weakening of their central defense. In the 48th minute, Iniesta dribbled the ball in the middle, and the French defensive midfielder, who should have immediately moved to intercept, was now left alone marking Xavi. This left Iniesta unmarked. An unmarked Iniesta is the most dangerous player. Seeing his teammates run, he played a through ball towards the edge of the French penalty area. Lin Quan quickly cut inside from the wing to receive the ball, and after getting past a pressing defender, he unleashed a shot from the left side of the penalty area that deflected off a defender's leg and went wide. Fortunately, the defender intervened, otherwise it would have been very dangerous. In the 53rd minute, Lin Quan and David Silva switched positions, and he dribbled down the left flank. The French defense was under immense pressure. A cross from the byline in the first half almost resulted in a goal. However, unexpectedly, Lin Quan didn't cross directly, but instead dribbled closer to the penalty area and cut a ball back. David Silva received the ball on the edge of the penalty area and played a through ball. The pass was incredibly precise, finding the ball amidst several French defenders, but none of them could reach it immediately. Seeing the defenders unable to clear the ball, French goalkeeper Lloris rushed out, attempting to intercept before the attacker could receive it. But a red figure snatched the ball away before he could reach it. Lloris looked at the opponent in despair, seeing only their back and the swaying net. The prominent number 30 on the opponent's red jersey and the ball flying into the net became an unforgettable image for him. Boom! The Calderón Stadium erupted once more. Countless fans chanted Lin Quan's name, waving their flags excitedly and holding up their newly purchased number 30 jerseys, expressing their support and love for him. This goal not only changed the score but also finally relieved the anxious Spanish fans. After gaining momentum, the French team's attacks became very threatening, repeatedly endangering the Spanish goal. If this trend continued, they were truly afraid of a French comeback. Thank goodness we have Lin. He stepped up at the crucial moment and broke the deadlock. After scoring, Lin Quan ran towards the sidelines, pondering how to celebrate. Messi and Kaká's double pointed to the sky. Celebrations were elegant, but too religious. He didn't believe in God, so he wouldn't celebrate that way. Cristiano Ronaldo's signature move was too iconic, imitating him would likely cause controversy. He liked Raúl's ring-kissing celebration, but he wasn't married and didn't have the championship ring, so he couldn't kiss it. How about he learn from his club predecessor, close, and do a front flip? Just as he was about to take a running start and jump for a front flip, his teammates caught up with him from behind, tackled him to the ground, and piled him up like a human pyramid. Now, no need to worry about how to celebrate. After Lin Quan scored, the coaching staff erupted in celebration. Coach Tony was somewhat incredulous. This kid's scoring ability is truly astonishing. He's already scored 4 goals in just 2 appearances for the national team. He's probably the most efficient striker our national team has ever had. Vicente Del Bosque hadn't paid attention to these statistics, but he had witnessed Lin Quan's performance firsthand. His technique is excellent, and he plays very intelligently. Combined with their strong midfield, this scoring efficiency isn't surprising. While that was true, why couldn't the strikers achieve this kind of consistent scoring with the same lineup? He's not even 17 yet. I'm really looking forward to his future performances, Coach Tony said with anticipation. After leading Spain to World Cup and European Championship titles, his passion for his work had waned after losing his desire for further glory. But now, seeing such a young and promising superstar thriving under his tutelage, and his curiosity about how far he could go, reignited his enthusiasm. Del Bosque, standing beside him, shared the same feeling. He had a premonition that this kid could very well become a player comparable to a football legend. To be able to mentor a future football king, watch him grow step by step, and even participate in the process, it feels like playing a nurturing game, with a strange kind of fun. Moreover, with the addition of Lin Quan, this fresh blood, he's full of confidence in the team's future performance. Who wouldn't love a job that guarantees results and is also full of fun? Deschamps, on the other hand, can't love his job with the national team. The French team had just gained momentum when Spain's number 30 kicked it wide. After the opponent scored, the morale of both sides completely changed. The French players fell into frustration again, because they felt they couldn't defend against that kid. Before Lin Quan's goal, the French team had already realized that the opponent's number 30 was the most active and threatening player on the field. He was too flexible, able to play in every position in the attacking third, with no fixed position, making it impossible for them to defend against him. After the game restarted, the invigorated Spanish team seized the opportunity to continue their attack on the French team, trying to capitalize on this momentum to extend their lead. This put the French goal under severe pressure. In the 56th minute, Pedro cut inside from the left and passed back to Lin Quan, who dribbled laterally, created space, and then played a through ball into the penalty area. Iniesta received the ball on the left side of the box and unleashed a powerful right-footed shot that went wide. The shot was poorly executed. The fans were already preparing to celebrate when Lin Quan passed the ball, but the ball flew into the stands, forcing them to swallow their almost open celebrations. In the 62nd minute, Xavi chipped the ball to Lin Quan, who selflessly passed it to an open teammate. Pedro received the ball in the center of the penalty area, but his right-footed shot was blocked by Lloris's leg. The ball flew out of the 6-yard box and reached the on-rushing Fabregas. Fabregas, without stopping the ball, volleyed with his right foot, but Lloris, still on the ground, managed to push it out for a corner. Pedro and Fabregas collapsed to their knees in the penalty area, clutching their heads in disbelief. The French goalkeeper was simply phenomenal. It's getting colder, it's freezing. Chapter 86 Real Madrid takes action. On the sidelines, Del Bosque and Tony, like the fans, were ready to celebrate when Lin Quan passed the ball. But Pedro missed a one-on-one. They held their heads in frustration. Then the ball flew to Fabregas. They took their hands down from their heads, ready to celebrate again. Then Fabregas' shot was blocked again. The two felt completely out of place, almost cursing in anger. What are these guys doing? Such a good chance and they can't even score? It's outrageous. Yeah, it's outrageous. If it were Lin Quan, he would definitely have scored. Tony nodded repeatedly, speechless at his team's unreliable shooting. While the Spaniards were just speechless, the French fans felt their hearts were about to jump out of their chests. The opponent had been shooting continuously, each opportunity so good. If it weren't for the goalkeeper's superhuman performance, they would have already conceded a goal. Trailing by 1 goal, they still had a chance to equalize, but trailing by 2, given Spain's solid defense, it was practically a death sentence. French goalkeeper Lloris, after a series of brilliant saves, stood up in dissatisfaction and roared at his teammates, "Pay attention. Don't sleepwalk. Mark your assigned players. Don't leave anyone unmarked." His performance was indeed impressive, but if faced with the same situation again, Lloris wasn't confident he could save 2 consecutive shots. Moreover, this time it wasn't even the opponent's most threatening player. If it had been their number 30, Lloris felt he would have to go back into the goal for the 3rd time. Although Lloris reminded his teammates, the French defense didn't improve. After the restart, Spain launched a relentless attack, continuing their siege of France. Thus, French goalkeeper Lloris became the busiest player on the field. He made numerous saves on the goal line, denying 6 or 7 dangerous shots from Spain that were on target. Without his outstanding performance, France would likely have been thrashed by Spain long ago. The French defense deserves much credit for giving their opponents so many opportunities. In the final stages of the match, France strengthened their defense and finally didn't concede another goal. However, their counter-attacks were ineffective, with several attacks ending in failure. Neither side could change the score, and ultimately, after 90 minutes of intense play, Spain secured a narrow 2-1 victory over France at home. Spain currently boasts 3 wins out of 3, with 9 points and a goal difference of +8, topping the group. After defeating their biggest group rival, France, Spain's chances of advancing are greatly improved. In the same group, France, with 2 wins and 1 loss, is currently second with 6 points. Georgia, having played 1 more game, is third with 4 points, 1 win, 1 draw, 2 losses. Belarus, also having played 1 more game, is fourth with 3 points, 1 win, 3 losses. Finland is at the bottom with 1 point, 1 draw, 2 losses. Spain's next match will be held on March 22 next year, against Finland, currently bottom of Group I after winning. Led by Captain Casillas, the players ran to the sidelines and circled the field to thank the fans who supported them. Spanish fans are fortunate, their team has held the world's #1 spot since 2008. In the past 4 years, they have not only won the European Championship twice but also the World Cup once. Such achievements are rare in the history of football. At the league level, La Liga, since 2010, has been catching up with the Premier League in terms of league influence, attendance, and overseas market development. With Messi and Ronaldo, arguably the best players in football today, La Liga is undoubtedly the most watched league. However, these are not the things that make them happiest. What makes Spanish fans ecstatic is that they now have a rising superstar, Lin Quan. Lin Quan is so young, and La Liga is booming, consistently providing the national team with a steady stream of excellent talent. This fills them with anticipation for future matches. At the post-match press conference, 9 out of 10 questions were about Lin Quan. Yes, it was I who defied all opposition and brought Lin Quan into the national team. Facing the reporters' questions, a beaming Vicente Del Bosque spoke eloquently, boasting about his keen eye for talent. A young player like him, most coaches wouldn't dare use him. But after watching his videotapes, I knew he was the kind of player my team needed most. So, I ignored external pressure, ignored his age, and recruited him. And it turns out, my choice was right. After finishing, Del Bosque looked at the reporters with a smug expression, as if to say, "Come on, praise me." The Spanish reporters were very supportive, leading the applause for the veteran coach. In their view, Del Bosque truly deserved such praise. Lin Quan was undoubtedly the biggest discovery for the Spanish national team this year. His emergence could very well mean that a problem that had plagued Spain for years had been solved. And a flawless Spanish national team, just thinking about it was enough to make one eagerly anticipate its success. The reporters had lost interest in the World Cup qualifiers. They were practically wishing the 2013 Confederations Cup would arrive soon. That way, Spain could compete against top teams from every continent, giving them a direct feel for the current strength of the Spanish national team. The reporters were very interested in Lin Quan's situation, and after applause, they began vying for questions. Mr. Vicente del Bosque, as far as I know, Lin Quan was loaned out because he couldn't find a place or playing time at Barcelona. For the development of Spanish football and better results for the Spanish national team, do you support Barcelona terminating the loan contract early, recalling Lin Quan, and preparing a starting position for him? Del Bosque's smile vanished upon hearing the question. He glanced at the reporter and recognized him as being from the mouthpiece of Real Madrid. The question seemed harmless, but it actually concealed a huge trap. Lin Quan is so strong, yet he can't find a place or playing time at Barcelona. Why? Because Barcelona has an even stronger Messi. So, if Lin Quan is recalled early, what will happen to Messi? Should Messi relinquish his starting position to Lin Quan? Even setting aside Messi's willingness, could Lin Quan truly replace him in Barcelona's role and status? Messi and his Barcelona teammates have been playing together for nearly a decade. Lin Quan hasn't played a single match for Barcelona. Even if their abilities were equal, there would be a significant gap in their understanding and chemistry. Therefore, any fluctuation in Lin Quan's Barcelona performance would be compared to and criticized by fans. This is immense pressure for a young player not yet 17, severely hindering his development. Barcelona is undoubtedly troubled by this issue, but they can suppress it for now if no one explicitly points it out. However, with Lin Quan's outstanding performance for the national team, his brilliance as a rising star is undeniable. Now, Real Madrid's mouthpiece has stepped in to expose this. What's their purpose? Even a fool could guess that it's Real Madrid's intention. He could even guess that this was at the behest of Real Madrid president Florentino Perez. It seemed Real Madrid had their eye on Lin Quan and wanted to bring him to the Bernabeu. Ahem, club issues are not within the scope of this press conference. I will only answer questions about the national team. Vicente del Bosque didn't want to answer directly, because no matter how he answered, it wouldn't be appropriate. As the national team coach, he couldn't easily criticize the club's actions. The AS reporter, however, wasn't about to let him off the hook. La Liga is at a higher level than the Bundesliga. If Lin Quan returns to La Liga, it will not only improve his skills but also enhance his understanding with his national team teammates, thereby improving the overall strength of the Spanish national team. So how can this be a club matter? Chapter 87, The Breach of Contract Penalty Revealed, Shaking the Football World. Ultimately, Vicente del Bosque did not directly answer the question. However, the question posed by the AS reporter successfully captured the attention of Spanish fans. Should Lin Quan be recalled from the Bundesliga during the winter break? This question sparked countless discussions online and in real life. I think the reporter is right. How can the Bundesliga compare to La Liga? The two leagues have a completely different styles. If you want to learn authentic possession-based football, you have to go to La Liga. That's right. The Bundesliga's style is more similar to the Premier League, emphasizing physical confrontation, a fast pace, and a more direct style of play, which is very different from La Liga's emphasis on technique and ground penetration. But the problem is, if Barcelona recalls Lin Quan, what position will he play? Are they really going to make Messi give up his position for him? Fans of other teams can speak from a position of convenience, since Lin Quan's return would mean playing for Barcelona anyway, and it has nothing to do with their own clubs. But for Barcelona fans, if Lin Quan returns, how will he coexist with Messi? This is a huge question. Both players are the type of players who are most dangerous with the ball, but there's only one ball on the field. When both are on the field, how to distribute possession is a major problem. If Lin Quan is recalled but not given a starting position, only to be Messi's substitute, not only would Lin Quan himself be unwilling, but the Spanish national team wouldn't agree either. Our national team's absolute mainstay, even the tactical core of the entire team, is not getting playing time at Barcelona. It's better to let him be a starter at another team, even a smaller one. Therefore, in the end, everyone agreed that Lin Quan could not return to Barcelona. At least not until he was guaranteed a starting position and sufficient playing time. And once this consensus was reached, Florentino's plan was realized. Soon, some small and medium-sized newspapers began to report rumors that Real Madrid had made an offer to Barcelona to bring Lin Quan to the team. Although these were just unconfirmed rumors, and the newspapers reporting them weren't influential mainstream newspapers, the report still caused a huge uproar in Spain. Real Madrid and Barcelona are bitter rivals. Real Madrid has made an offer to Barcelona, but will Barcelona agree? For Barcelona, they'd probably rather their player not get playing time than agree to transfer to Real Madrid, right? Unless Real Madrid directly pays the release clause, buys out the contract, and forcibly takes Lin Quan away. When reporters interviewed Real Madrid president Florentino Perez about this, he didn't deny it. Haha, Lin is indeed a very good player, I admire him. Although this answer wasn't a direct admission, since Florentino Perez said he admires Lin Quan, he's naturally willing to bring Lin Quan back to the Bernabeu. So the pressure is on Barcelona. How will they respond to Real Madrid's poaching? Reporters swarmed Barcelona again, wanting to interview Barcelona president Rosell. Rosell was furious. He refused interviews with reporters, his face ashen, and told them, "We at Barca will absolutely not sell our players to a club like Real Madrid." After saying this, Rosell immediately went to Zubizarreta and Enrique, giving them a firm order. They must use whatever means necessary to get Lin Quan to sign the contract extension and keep him. Zubizarreta was indignant, feeling that this was Enrique's fault and he shouldn't be implicated. But before he could shift the blame, Enrique directly said, "Sorry, Mr. Chairman, I cannot complete the task you assigned. You were the one who wanted to get rid of Lin Quan in the first place, shouldn't you be responsible for this?" Rosell was already angry from the reporters and the rumors circulating outside, and he was already furious. Enrique's audacity to talk back made his anger finally uncontrollable. "Luis Enrique, are you trying to teach me how to do things?" Enrique looked at the enraged Rosell and suddenly laughed. Forget it, expecting him to admit his mistake was like hoping the sun would rise in the west. How could those high and mighty people be wrong? Therefore, it's always the lower-ups who take the blame. Thinking this, Enrique felt as if he had instantly shed all his burdens. He took out a pre-prepared resignation letter, slammed it on his desk, and said to Rosell, "I'm sorry, I can't complete the task you assigned me. You'll have to find someone else." He then turned away gracefully, ignoring the two stunned men behind him. Rosell's face turned ashen. He tried to stop him, but Enrique ignored him and left the Barcelona club's gates. The next day, Celta Vigo announced on their official website that they had successfully signed former Barcelona youth team coach Enrique, who had become the club's coach. The news of Enrique's departure from Barcelona to become Celta Vigo's head coach only caused a slight ripple in Spanish football, and then no one paid attention anymore. Conversely, the debate about whether Lin Quan should return to Barcelona during the winter break had reached its peak. Although Barcelona stated that Lin Quan was not for sale and would absolutely not accept any offers from other clubs. But at this moment, an anonymous source revealed that Lin Quan's contract with Barcelona only had 6 months left. Moreover, Lin Quan had signed a youth team contract, with a release clause of only €5 million. At this price, not only top clubs, but even some smaller teams could easily afford to buy out the contract. Barcelona doesn't have a place, but Real Madrid does. Why not let Lin Quan come play for Real Madrid? That's right, €5 million for such a strong and promising player. This deal is too good to pass up. By buying Lin Quan, we don't need to waste money on that Tottenham winger anymore. Our great Real Madrid won't be a sucker. The transfer rumors surrounding Real Madrid and Tottenham winger Gareth Bale were rampant. Tottenham seemed to have Real Madrid under control, so they set a very high price, reportedly reaching £80 million. If this price comes true, he will break the world transfer fee record for Real Madrid's acquisition of Cristiano Ronaldo from Manchester United. Real Madrid is certainly wealthy, but spending €100 million on a player whose fame and ability are far inferior to Ronaldo and Messi seems like a huge waste. However, Lingard is different. His performances in the Bundesliga and for the national team are undeniable. Although young, his current ability is already formidable, and he will only grow stronger in the future. A footballing prodigy with both strong immediate impact and immense growth potential is a sure win for Real Madrid. Not to mention, Lingard's release clause is only €5 million. Anyone who manages to snag him would be ecstatic. Therefore, Real Madrid fans who might have initially thought Bale was a good fit immediately have quickly changed their minds after comparing him to Lingard. With Lingard already there, who needs Bale? Not to mention the outrageous €100 million transfer fee, anyone who buys him would be a fool. Haha, I've always wanted to see how Ronaldo and Messi work together on the field, what kind of chemistry they'll create. If Real Madrid really gets Lin Quan, your dream will come true. Looking forward to it +1. Looking forward to it +2. Looking forward to it +3. Speaking of which, can Ronaldo and Messi, with their completely different styles, really be compatible? Why not try and see? It should be fine, right? Both of them have high football IQ, and Ronaldo doesn't need much possession. They seem like they can work together very well. If they really create a great chemistry, tisk, Ronaldo and Messi, wouldn't that be invincible? I wonder what Ronaldo himself thinks of Lin Quan. I think we should pay more attention to what Lin Quan thinks. If he comes to Real Madrid, wouldn't he have to be Ronaldo's concubine? Would Lin Quan be willing? Chapter 88 Ferguson's favoritism. It wasn't just Real Madrid interested in Lin Quan. After the news spread, almost every major club in the top 5 European leagues became interested. In Milan, at AC Milan, Galliani immediately contacted club president Berlusconi to report the matter. "Boss, should we still offer Barcelona €45 million for Lin Quan?" Galliani had clearly changed his mind. Lin Quan's release clause was only €5 million. If they paid €45 million, wouldn't they be making a huge mistake? If word got out, they'd be laughed at. Berlusconi lit a cigar and slowly puffed on it. This kid's performance for the Spanish national team has been outstanding, and he's already attracted the attention of many top clubs. If we can really bring him back for €45 million, do you think it's a bad deal? Galliani frowned and thought for a moment. Judging from Lin Quan's current performance, he was already a phenomenal player. Spending €45 million just to buy his immediate impact was a bit too expensive. However, considering his immense potential, this price is not only not expensive, but actually very cheap. For example, once you know how well Messi performed at 25, if you had the chance to go back in time and offer him a contract when he was 18, how much would you be willing to pay? Many clubs would probably readily offer hundreds of millions of euros just to bring Messi away from Barcelona. Lin Quan is like a young Messi. In fact, he's even stronger than Messi at the same age. Compared to that, Lin Quan's €45 million price tag is incredibly cheap. If you're willing to pay €100 million for Messi, why wouldn't you pay €45 million for Lin Quan? Unless you're certain he'll be injured and ruined on the field, there's no reason not to buy him. The Bundesliga's style is different from our Serie A. They don't focus on defense much, their style is simple and direct, often resulting in exaggerated scores. So, for attacking players, racking up good stats isn't difficult. If this kid played in Serie A, his goal tally would definitely drop by more than half. Galliani was still stubbornly trying to find various reasons to prove that Lin Quan wasn't worth the price. He still had a sense of superiority. Although Serie A's World Cup glory was gone, as a once powerful league, they still looked down on the Bundesliga, a rising star. Back in the day, even Germany's big three, Matthias, Klinsmann, and Bremen, had to come to Serie A to make a living. Berlusconi glanced at his old partner and said calmly, "Every league has its own style. The Bundesliga emphasizes attack, while Serie A prioritizes defense. There's no inherent superiority of one over the other. However, from an entertainment perspective, the Bundesliga, with its higher goal count, isn't necessarily inferior to Serie A+. The Bundesliga is a true members-only league, and their teams generally have better financial situations than our Serie A teams. Don't look at them with outdated perspectives. In recent seasons, Bundesliga teams have performed far better than our Serie A teams in the Champions League. AC Milan was once the face of Serie A and European competitions, but in recent seasons, their performance in the Champions League has been dismal. Since their Champions League victory against Liverpool in the 2006-2007 season, AC Milan has been eliminated in the round of 16 3 times, the quarter-finals once, and failed to qualify for the Champions League once, a decline as rapid as Real Madrid's round of 16 run. However, after hiring Mourinho, Real Madrid's Champions League performance improved rapidly, reaching the semifinals twice in a row. Real Madrid has shed their round of 16 label in the Champions League, but what about AC Milan? With their current squad, it's unclear when they'll achieve a breakthrough in the Champions League. Galliani is simply reluctant to spend money on new players. He's well aware of Lin Quan's abilities, and €45 million isn't considered expensive. However, AC Milan's financial situation is precarious at the time. Club president Berlusconi is embroiled in legal troubles, and after the Calciopoli scandal, investment in Serie A has drastically decreased. Aside from Moratti's blunder in the 2009-2010 season where he recklessly funded a Champions League title, other top clubs are unwilling and unable to invest heavily. Galliani is reluctant to spend such a high transfer fee on a new player, especially when he can try something for less money. He doesn't want to be taken advantage of. It's settled then. AC Milan is the face of Serie A, and the San Siro can't stay without a superstar. If this €45 million can really bring Lin Quan back, it will become our hope for AC Milan's resurgence. Berlusconi, however, didn't think so. He had a longer-term vision. Since the club president had said so, Galliani couldn't say anything more and could only carry out his order. Manchester, inside Manchester United. The soon-to-retire Sir Alex Ferguson was discussing the team's winter transfer window with the Glazer family's two sons, Avram and Joel. This is a list of some players I'm interested in. Take a look. Ferguson handed the list to the two men. He could actually decide on transfers himself, but considering he was retiring next season, it was better to discuss it with the Glazer family. Otherwise, the new coach might not like the players he bought, and then he, the retired old man, would have to take the blame. Avram took the list from Sir Alex Ferguson, glanced at it, and saw names like Juan Mata, Modric, Sneijder, Irving, and Khedira. There were also names of younger players like Michu, Isco, De Bruyne, and Lin Quan. Except for Lin Quan, the rest of the players were almost all midfielders. It was clear that Ferguson wanted to strengthen Manchester United's midfield. Newly acquired Shinji Kagawa was plagued by injuries, Fletcher was afflicted with a mysterious illness, and Scholes was getting on in years. Manchester United's midfield was experiencing a generational gap and definitely needed reinforcement. Joel's eyes lit up when he saw Lin Quan's name. Pointing to the name, he said to Ferguson, "I've watched this guy's games. He plays the exact same position as Messi at Barcelona in the Spanish national team, and their playing styles are very similar. Many people believe he can grow into the next Messi." "Sir Alex, what do you think?" Ferguson smiled. "I also have high hopes for this young man's future. With the ability he's shown so far, I wouldn't doubt that he can become a football king someday." Avram and Joel were both surprised, not expecting Ferguson to have such a high opinion of Lin Quan. Since Maradona's retirement, the football world hasn't seen a true football king for many years, and the closest to that are undoubtedly the currently dominant Messi and Ronaldo. Did Ferguson think Lin Quan would be even stronger than Messi and Ronaldo in the future? The two brothers exchanged a glance, involuntarily sitting up straight and becoming serious. If Ferguson wasn't mistaken, then such a player couldn't be let go. "Sir, what do you think is a reasonable price to pay to acquire him?" The two felt that even if Lin Quan couldn't become a football king, becoming the next Messi or Ronaldo would be great. At this time, Messi and Ronaldo were both at their peak, nuclear weapons in their respective teams. La Liga attracted so many fans precisely because of these two unparalleled stars, allowing it to catch up with the Premier League in terms of league influence and commercial development. If Manchester United could acquire a player of this caliber, it would be extremely beneficial for both the team's future performance and its commercial and brand image development. Seeing their eager eyes, Ferguson smiled and said, "That's hard to say. Barcelona might not be willing to sell such an outstanding player. Isn't there speculation that Lin Quan's position on the field overlaps with Messi's, and that he doesn't have a place in the Barcelona team?" Joel, who was more familiar with the latest football news, asked at this moment. Ferguson shook his head. Lin Quan and Masia are both players who can play in multiple positions. He played as a winger at Werder Bremen, and Barcelona recalled him, so he can still play him on the wing. On the field, he and Messi can cooperate with each other. Both of them are players who can receive the ball, break through, and pass. Their combination will only make it harder for the opponent to defend. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Author's note on the launch of Chapter 89. In the blink of an eye, this book has been in writing for over a month. From February 3rd to now, more than 40 days have passed, and the word count has reached over 200,000. It's time to release it. Here, I want to thank my editor, Killen, for his care and for signing this book. I didn't submit it through internal channels beforehand, so getting a contract was really a stroke of luck. Besides that, I want to thank all the readers for their unwavering support. Although I entered the industry early, I'm still a newbie on Kidian. I'm truly grateful that you, my dear readers, don't mind my poor writing, boring plot, and cliched ideas. I also earnestly request your continued support, votes, subscriptions, and comments. I'm too shy to play the victim, so I won't go into that here. Let me tell you why I started writing novels in the first place. Ahem, I studied nursing and used to work in the neurosurgical intensive care unit of a top-tier hospital. Neurosurgical patients are very serious, and working there meant dealing with death every moment. Patients, especially the critically ill, have no dignity in the ICU. They are on invasive ventilators, intracranial pressure monitors, electrocardiogram monitors, central venous catheters, and 3 or 4 IV lines throughout their bodies filled with instruments and tubing. Even so, we are often powerless. What saddened me most was a 32-year-old female patient who was admitted with a brainstem hemorrhage, a disease that is almost fatal for young people. The medical expenses in the ICU are extremely high, and her family was not well off. Her husband was poorly dressed and worried about the exorbitant medical bills every day. When we visited her, her daughter held her hands and asked when her mother could come home. We couldn't answer because the mortality rate of this disease is too high. Elderly people might have a chance of survival due to brain atrophy, but young people. At that moment, I felt both sad and guilty. The patient passed away 3 days after admission, and her family gave up on resuscitation. There are many similar examples. This period of work has allowed me to experience too many life and death separations. At its worst, several patients would be admitted to the ICU every day. The immense pressure at work, the irregular hours, and the constant back-to-back work schedules left me feeling extremely depressed, even on the verge of severe depression. So, I gave up my dream of continuing to work as a nurse and resigned from the hospital. Lacking any particular skills, I ended up joining the ranks of online writers, becoming a glorious failure. Chapter 90. Brother, you've been cheated on. In Barcelona, in the manager's office, Vilanova put down the phone, lost in thought. The caller was Vicente Del Bosque, the Spanish national team coach, inquiring whether Barcelona planned to terminate Lin Quan's loan contract early during the winter break and recall him. Del Bosque wanted to know Lin Quan's position in the Barcelona squad if he returned, and whether he would have sufficient playing time. Del Bosque didn't intend to interfere with Barcelona's decisions, but he wanted to understand the situation beforehand. However, if Lin Quan didn't get enough playing time at Barcelona, he would consider calling him up to both the national team and the youth national team to allow him more playing time and maintain his form. Vilanova stated that he was unaware of the club's plans and would inform Del Bosque immediately if there were any updates from the club. After hanging up, Vilanova pondered. Frankly, before Lin Quan's inclusion in the national team, he had hardly considered this issue. The reason was simple: Barcelona already had Messi. Given his relationship with Guardiola, he certainly knew and recognized Lin Quan. However, personal relationships wouldn't influence his professional judgment. Vilanova had never worked with Lin Quan, so he wasn't sure of his abilities. However, Messi was performing at a godlike level under him, and he wouldn't easily replace his absolute core player. Unless Lin Quan was willing to accept being Messi's substitute, but for a player of his age, more playing time was better than being a substitute for someone else at a top club. Therefore, Vilanova himself didn't plan to recall Lin Quan during the winter break. He just didn't know what the club would do. Thinking about this, he decided to make some preparations in advance, so as not to catch him off guard when the club brought him back. Vilanova found Messi, who was recovering his form on the training ground, and asked for his opinion. If Messi was willing to accept Lin Quan's return, he could consider redesigning a tactical approach to try to allow the two to coexist on the field. Messi's Argentina lost to Venezuela in the World Cup qualifier a few days ago, and he was in a bad mood. But when he heard that Lin Quan might return to the team in the second half of the season, he immediately showed great interest. Lin? I've watched his games, he played very well at Werder Bremen. Could we coexist? Of course, that's not a problem at all. In fact, I'm looking forward to playing with him. Vilanova hadn't expected Messi to be so interested in Lin Quan, so he felt a huge weight lifted from his shoulders. After thinking for a moment, he called his old friend Guardiola, who was on vacation, to ask for his opinion. Barcelona had finished working on Messi, while Real Madrid was working on Ronaldo. Florentino Perez personally persuaded Ronaldo, "Cristiano, I know your hunger for championships, and I know your dissatisfaction with the team's current strength, especially the lack of firepower in the attack. I promise you, I will bring in a super player to help you and the team achieve more honors." Ronaldo wasn't happy at Real Madrid. After his transfer, Real Madrid's performance in European competitions was unsatisfactory, and in La Liga, they were always suppressed by Messi's Barcelona. This left him feeling very disappointed, as he had originally planned to parachute into La Liga and defeat and suppress his opponent in a direct confrontation with Messi. A superstar player? You mean that fast winger from Tottenham, or that rising Spanish lad? Florentino smiled at Ronaldo. Which one do you think is more suitable for you? Ronaldo thought for a moment and said seriously, "If possible, I want both of them." The Real Madrid president's lips twitched slightly, his smile becoming awkward. After saying goodbye to his national team teammates, Lin Quan didn't linger in Madrid. He took a flight back to Germany the next day. The 8th round of the Bundesliga was about to start, and he desperately needed rest after playing for the national team. As for the transfer rumors, he didn't pay much attention, but his agent, Per, was keeping an eye on them, and some people had contacted him. However, Per knew that Lin Quan didn't want to leave Werder Bremen at the moment, so he didn't bother him with these matters, allowing him to focus on his preparations. The flight from Madrid to Bremen took about 4.5 hours. Although the time wasn't long, Lin Quan still felt very tired. Fortunately, Werder Bremen's next match was at home, sparing them the hardship of travel. Back at the club, Lin Quan saw De Bruyne practicing alone on the pitch. The Belgian national team only had one match during this international break, and De Bruyne had returned to the club 3 days earlier than Lin Quan, appearing much more energetic and refreshed than the exhausted Lin Quan. De Bruyne seemed to be in a good mood, humming a tune as he prepared to take a free kick while setting up the wall. After a month or two of practice, De Bruyne's free kick had improved significantly. Now, he had over a 50% chance of executing a free kick in this manner. This made his free kicks incredibly dangerous, becoming a major weapon in Werder Bremen's attack. "Hey, looking good. Let me guess, are you in love, or did you score a goal for the national team?" Lin Quan walked over, greeting his teammates while teasing him. De Bruyne seemed to have his thoughts guessed, blushing and lowering his head somewhat embarrassedly. Seeing the other's expression, Lin Quan clicked his tongue. "Tisk tisk, looks like you're both dating and scoring goals for the national team, right?" Lin Quan hadn't watched the Belgian national team's matches, but he remembered that De Bruyne had been selected for the Belgian national team back in 2010. The Red Devil squad at that time wasn't as strong as it would later become, and the coach liked to promote young players, so it wasn't surprising that a talented and promising player like De Bruyne got playing time. De Bruyne didn't lie, and after Lin Quan saw through his lie, he immediately nodded in admission. Lin Quan wanted to tease him a bit, but then he suddenly thought of the wife-swapping scandal involving De Bruyne, and his smile vanished. Could it be that his current girlfriend was the woman who cheated on him? As a friend, he should definitely warn his friend against being cheated on. But Lin Quan didn't know if such a thing had happened yet. The wife-swapping scandal broke in 2014, during the 2012-2013 season when De Bruyne was on loan to Werder Bremen. Lin Quan didn't know the exact date. Because he wasn't sure of the specific date, Lin Quan couldn't very well tell De Bruyne directly, "Your girlfriend is going to cheat on you, right?" De Bruyne would definitely call him crazy. "Tisk tisk, not bad, I didn't expect you to be this kind of guy, you're quick on the uptake." Lin Quan observed De Bruyne's reaction while subtly inquiring about the woman. De Bruyne smiled and shook his head. "I met her when I played for Genk, but we never officially became a couple. You know, I'm not very good at communicating with people." Genk? The club Courtois and De Bruyne played for together? Lin Quan had a bad feeling. "How did you two meet? Is she a fan of yours?" De Bruyne nodded. "Her family are all Genk fans, and she often comes to watch matches. We got to know each other over time. That was probably it." Thinking this through, Lin Quan decided to cut to the chase and ask directly, "What's your girlfriend's name?" De Bruyne found it strange. Lin Quan seemed to be conducting a family investigation. However, since they were close, he didn't think much of it and answered truthfully, "Her name is Caroline." Hearing De Bruyne's answer, Lin Quan put his hand to his forehead. That was indeed the name of the woman involved in the friend's wife scandal. "Has she been to Madrid recently?" De Bruyne was taken aback. Why was this question suddenly brought up again? I don't think so. I looked at her travel posts on social media. There weren't any photos of her going to Madrid. Lin Quan remembered that Caroline met Courtois while traveling in Madrid. The two hit it off immediately, and their conversation eventually led to sex, and then De Bruyne was cheated on. Since Caroline hadn't gone to Madrid, it meant the friend's wife scandal hadn't happened yet. What's wrong? Is there a problem? De Bruyne asked curiously, seeing his friend's expression. No, it's nothing, it's just that I'm worried about you being away from home so often, not being able to be with your girlfriend all the time. Is this long-distance relationship really okay? Long-distance relationships are a problem in any country, and De Bruyne is a rather careless guy. He was cheated on for 2 years before realizing he was being cuckolded, which is quite something. The worst part is, he even forgave him in the end, leaving one speechless. I'm fine with it, since I'm always playing matches and don't have much free time, so I don't feel lonely. But as for Caroline, De Bruyne hadn't considered this issue before, but after hearing Lin Quan's words, he realized the seriousness of the situation. How about this? I'll persuade Caroline to move to Bremen. De Bruyne thought for a moment and came up with a solution he thought was good. Lin Quan nodded. Having her live with him was also a good idea. As long as Caroline doesn't go to Madrid, she shouldn't be hooking up with Courtois, right? He just felt that things might not be so easily resolved. Caroline wasn't the kind of person who would stay in line. She could have an affair with Courtois while traveling, so why couldn't she have an affair with someone else in Bremen? But this was ultimately De Bruyne's private matter. Lin Quan couldn't very well ask De Bruyne to break up with his girlfriend, could he? All he could do was keep an eye on De Bruyne and make sure he didn't suffer a loss without being aware of it. Chapter 91 Werder Bremen's attempt to keep them. After a 3-day break, on October 20th, Werder Bremen hosted Borussia Mönchengladbach at home. Mönchengladbach is a peculiar team, as domestic fans say. They're the DGL of the Bundesliga. They don't kill the unknown, they specialize in robbing the rich to help the poor. They're good against Bayern Munich, always managing to defeat or draw them in unexpected ways, leaving Bayern humiliated. However, they don't perform as well against other teams. In this match, Werder Bremen launched a relentless attack, with Lin Quan and De Bruyne in excellent form scoring goals. Before halftime, the score was already 3-0, with Lin Quan scoring 2 goals and De Bruyne 1. In the second half, Werder Bremen continued their goal-scoring spree for their home fans. De Bruyne added another in the 67th minute, making it 4-0. Seeing that the game was no longer in doubt, Schoff decisively made substitutions. Goal scorers Lin Quan and De Bruyne were both substituted, having played for their national teams and needing rest. With the game already decided, keeping them on the field wasn't really necessary. If they were injured, there would be no recourse. Although Werder Bremen's attacking duo were taken off, the substitutes didn't disappoint the fans. In the 77th minute, substitute Füllkrug scored again, making it 5-0. The Fulls were completely outmatched. Ultimately, Werder Bremen secured a resounding 5-0 victory over Borussia Mönchengladbach at home, shaking off the previous 3-game winless streak. In this round of league matches, Bayern Munich thrashed Fortuna Düsseldorf 5-0 away, securing their second consecutive win and maintaining their top spot. Dortmund lost 1-2 at home to Schalke 04, widening the gap between them and Bayern to 12 points, dropping them to 12th place in the standings. Although the season is not yet halfway through, very few people believe Borussia Dortmund will successfully defend their title. Everyone can see that Dortmund's form has been problematic this season. After the match against Borussia Mönchengladbach, the next round of Bundesliga matches is a week later. Since Werder Bremen has no European competitions, they have no matches to play this week. Therefore, after the match, Schoff gave the team 3 days off, allowing players who had been traveling back and forth for national team matches to have time to rest and adjust their form. Upon hearing the news of the holiday, the club's players cheered. Some unmarried players suggested going to a nightclub to have some fun and wanted to drag Lin Quan along. Lin Quan didn't like nightclubs and was about to refuse when he heard Captain Fritz say, "Don't lead the kid astray. Lin is still a minor. Don't take him to those kinds of places. Come to my house this weekend. Your sister-in-law and I have prepared an outdoor barbecue party. Anyone who's interested can come along." Lin Quan had to give his captain face, and besides, he really didn't have anything planned for the weekend. When the weekend arrived, Lin Quan called De Bruyne, intending to invite him to the captain's house. However, De Bruyne had gone back to Belgium, saying he was bringing his girlfriend to stay with him. After cursing him for prioritizing his girlfriend over his friend, Lin Quan could only set off on his bicycle. He bought a souvenir along the way and quickly arrived at Fritz's house. After ringing the doorbell, Fritz's wife, Alena Goebel, opened the door. Alena was only 24 years old, 8 years younger than Fritz. The age difference wasn't particularly large, but Fritz looked older than his age, while Alena, a former model, maintained her skin and figure exceptionally well. The two standing together gave off a sense of an older man and a younger woman. "You must be the Lin that Clemens always mentions." Lin Quan's Asian features were easily recognizable, and Fritz had given him a heads up. Alena immediately recognized him after opening the door. "Hello, sister-in-law, is the captain home?" Lin Quan was surprised. He hadn't expected the captain's wife to be so young and beautiful. This made him hesitant to go in. It would be awkward if the captain wasn't home. "Hey." Alena noticed Lin Quan's hesitation, a smile playing on her lips. She called out to the back, and Fritz, wearing barbecue gloves and an apron, came over. Lin Quan hadn't expected his captain to be a stay-at-home dad. He felt he understood his captain better now. "Lin, you're here. Come in." Fritz quickly invited Lin Quan in, warmly leading him to the backyard. Before Lin Quan could even sit down, he saw club manager Olaf and head coach Thomas Schaff chatting opposite him. Seeing Lin Quan, Olaf stood up and shook his hand. "Lin, how have you been in Bremen lately?" "Pretty good. The weather here is nice, not as dry and hot as Spain. My teammates at the club have been very kind to me, especially the captain and the others." Lin Quan wasn't sure what they were thinking, so he just exchanged pleasantries. "I'm glad you like it here. Werder Bremen isn't exactly a major international metropolis, but once you live here long enough, you'll definitely fall in love with it," Olaf said with a chuckle, then winked at his old partner, signaling him to speak. Seeing he couldn't avoid it, Schaff coughed and said, "Lin, the team plans to aim for European competition next season." This was the first time Lin Quan had heard the club discuss their goals for next season. At the beginning of the season, the club's main objective was to avoid relegation. But now, after 8 rounds, they are 4th in the standings, not only far from the relegation zone but also with a chance to qualify for the Champions League. This has given Werder Bremen some ideas. They believe that with a Lin Quan and De Bruyne duo, Werder Bremen's performance this season will definitely be much better than last season. Setting their sights on avoiding relegation now seems too conservative. A conservative goal won't motivate the players. Once they see they've already secured their survival, their enthusiasm on the field will decrease, and they'll become indifferent. However, if they set their sights on qualifying for European competition, the players might be able to maintain their momentum and fight their way through. Perhaps, in the end, they really can make it into the European qualification zone. Even if they don't qualify for the Champions League, they can at least play in the Europa League. The Bundesliga is the highest-ranked league among the top 5 leagues, second only to the Premier League and La Liga in European competition points. Therefore, they are allocated 7 European competition slots each season, 4 for the Champions League and 3 for the Europa League. Considering that the German Cup has long been dominated by top-ranked teams, this means that the top 7 teams in the standings are eligible to represent the Bundesliga in European competitions next season. Werder Bremen's performance last season was too poor to qualify for European competition. However, this season, if they maintain their current form and stay in their position in the standings, they have a very good chance of achieving their European goal. If we can qualify for European competitions, whether it's the Europa League or the Champions League, it will increase our revenue. Playing in high-level European competitions will also help us attract better players. Club manager Olaf frankly stated. UEFA is relatively supportive of smaller clubs. Qualifying for the Champions League guarantees a substantial bonus. Further advancement will bring even more money. Of course, larger clubs, especially the elite clubs, have higher broadcast revenue, something smaller clubs can compete with. In the era of commercial football, successful and commercially viable clubs are on a completely different level in terms of revenue compared to ordinary teams. More money means they can offer higher salaries and have more funds to buy their desired players in the transfer market. The main reason why smaller clubs in major leagues can't retain their star players is because of lower salaries and fewer European competitions, making them less attractive to star players and unable to resist the poaching by top clubs. Players are very pragmatic, Professional football is ultimately about pursuing two goals, money and honor. Joining a top club offers both financial rewards and prestige. Given this, they would undoubtedly choose the top club over an ordinary one. If Werder Bremen wants to rise again, it must increase its revenue and reputation. With broadcast fees and prize money from European competitions, plus sponsorship revenue, the team can afford to buy talented players to improve its strength and performance. Improved performance, in turn, helps them further expand their brand awareness and commercial value, attracting more fans and better sponsors. It's a positive cycle. Werder Bremen was once prosperous. Back then, they could not only compete with Bayern Munich in the Bundesliga, but also challenge other league giants in European competitions. But now, Werder Bremen has fallen to the point of not being able to play in European competitions and even nearly facing relegation. If they want to revive and rise again, simply retaining their current key players is not enough. They need to spend money to bring in more high-level players. The club's current players, apart from a few national team members, are mostly average in ability, the kind of practical players with little fame and low salaries. They're passable for keeping the team afloat in the league and avoiding relegation. But they're not enough to help them advance further and make a breakthrough in European competitions. Therefore, they really want to keep Lin Quan and De Bruyne, two young players. If they can keep them, the cornerstone of Werder Bremen's revival might be there. Lin Quan felt the club didn't need to explain so much to him. Coach Schaff could just announce it in the locker room. There was no need for such a grand ceremony, with the club manager and head coach specifically involved. Unless, their purpose wasn't just setting a target. It seemed the news about his contract in Spain had already reached Germany. Coach, don't worry, I will definitely give 100% and play well in every game. Since the other party hadn't explicitly stated anything, Lin Quan could only pretend to be confused. Lin, I want to make you the core of Werder Bremen's attacking system. Schaff said earnestly. With your attacking ability in the front court, plus De Bruyne's assists, our attacking group is basically complete. All that's left is to continue strengthening the midfield and defense, and bring in a group of strong players. Schaff was trying to paint a grand picture of the club's future for Lin Quan, hoping to entice him to stay. But Lin Quan knew that neither De Bruyne nor he himself could stay at Werder Bremen. Coach Schaff's grand vision was destined to fail. Coach, please rest assured, before the loan contract ends, I will diligently fulfill my duties as a professional player, scoring more goals for the team and winning every game as much as possible. After saying this, Lin Quan stood up and took his leave. Sure enough, the captain's invitation wasn't just for a barbecue party. Lin Quan sighed. He had actually understood the unspoken meaning behind the captain's words long ago, but had been avoiding a direct discussion. He was doing quite well in Werder Bremen, but this couldn't be his final destination. He would leave Bremen sooner or later for somewhere else. If the issue wasn't brought up, maintaining this cooperative relationship would be fine. But once the issue is clarified, the relationship would likely be difficult to return to its original state. Therefore, he couldn't give the other party the opportunity to clarify. He had to leave immediately. The barbecue will be ready soon, why don't you eat before you go? Fritz tried to persuade Lin Quan to stay, seeing him about to leave. No, Captain, something came up, so I'll be going now. Thank you and your wife for your hospitality. Seeing Lin Quan's decisive departure, Schaff and Alafs exchanged a glance, their faces full of bitter smiles. They really couldn't keep him. Disappointed? Alafs asked his old partner. Coach Schaff shook his head. There was never much hope to begin with, so how can I be disappointed? He was quite open-minded, without sighing. There was never any hope to begin with. They only had a sliver of hope because they learned that Lin Quan's contract only had 6 months left and the penalty for breach of contract wasn't high. Werder Bremen's stage is too small. Staying here is a constraint for him. Let him go, let him soar freely. What about De Bruyne? Same as him, not much hope. In fact, De Bruyne's loyalty to Chelsea far exceeds Lin's loyalty to Barcelona. After working with Lin Quan for a while, Schaff realized that Lin Quan had no intention of returning to Barcelona. That's why they had a sliver of hope of poaching him. Unfortunately, even if he didn't return to Barcelona, it was unlikely he would stay at Werder Bremen. Alafs understood that what he said was true, but he still held on to a sliver of hope. How would he know if he didn't try? If he tried and failed, at least he wouldn't have regrets in the future. I'll contact De Bruyne again after he comes back. He's different from Lin Quan, There might not be a place for him at Chelsea. A left side. Even if the hope was small, he had to try to find out if it would work. For the sake of Werder Bremen's revival, he wouldn't let go of even the slightest chance. Lin Quan guessed that the club might also try to retain De Bruyne, but he didn't ask De Bruyne about it. He had been training diligently these past few days, actively preparing for the upcoming league match. He calculated his points and found he wasn't far from 20 points, meaning he could soon purchase a 20-point talent. And for his next talent, without a doubt, he would choose one related to injury mitigation. Chapter 92: The Resilient Clover. October 26, Werder Bremen traveled to Greuther Fürth for an away game. Greuther Fürth is located in the small Bavarian city of Greuther Fürth, a city with an area of only 65 square kilometers and a population of just 110,000. It's not comparable to large cities like Munich or Berlin, and even compared to Werder Bremen, it seems rather tiny. This season marks Greuther Fürth's first promotion to the Bundesliga, and for them, securing enough points to avoid relegation and remain in the highest echelon of German football is their sole objective. However, this goal seems somewhat difficult. Before the 9th round of matches, Greuther Fürth had won 1, drawn 2, and lost 5 of their 8 league games, accumulating only 5 points and tying for last place in the Bundesliga with Wolfsburg. Despite the team's poor performance, Greuther Fürth fan base remains strong. Perhaps due to their first promotion to the Bundesliga, the fans in the small city of Greuther Fürth are extremely supportive of their team. Their attendance rate is consistently above 80%, with some rounds even exceeding 90%. The Premabau Stadium, with a capacity of 18,000, had 17,000 fans in attendance, exceeding 90% capacity. The Fürth fans waved team flags and scarves, displaying various banners and signs, generously showcasing their support and love for the team. Germany has many football clubs, most with their own core support base. Clubs like Greuther Fürth and Hoffenheim, even located in remote, sparsely populated towns, still garner significant support. Even with smaller numbers, their home crowds can create a level of cheering and encouragement comparable to top clubs. In this match, the Fürth fans sang the team's anthem throughout, cheering on the team regardless of whether they were leading or trailing. This deeply moved Lin Quan. If domestic football had such a strong community atmosphere and football culture, how could it not flourish? Fueled by the cheers of the home crowd, Greuther Fürth launched a fierce attack on Werder Bremen from the start. The team was already at the bottom of the table, they had nothing left to lose. A loss would mean remaining at the bottom, but at this point, a desperate fight, even for just 1 point, could be life-saving. Perhaps the cheers of the home fans had an effect, for just 8 minutes into the game, Greuther Fürth striker Edu breached Werder Bremen's goal. This dream start ignited the atmosphere, and this goal gave the Fürth fans a glimmer of hope for victory. They were overjoyed, embracing each other excitedly. The team desperately needed a win. These precious 3 points were a lifeline. But their joy was short-lived. In the 42nd minute of the first half, Lin Quan broke through on the wing, cut inside, and unleashed a high-quality long-range shot from outside the penalty area, breaching the Fürth goal and leveling the score at 1-1. The 3 points that the Fürth fans had longed for had vanished. The moment Lin Quan scored, the Premabau Stadium seemed to be silenced, as if a silencer had been installed. The Greuther Fürth fans seemed unable to accept this reality, with some of the more emotionally vulnerable fans even bursting into tears. Seeing the opposing fans so distressed, Lin Quan lost all desire to celebrate. Greuther Fürth's strength was indeed at the bottom of the table. Their players were only at the level of the second Bundesliga, unlikely to find a place in the Bundesliga. It was already quite unexpected that they had held on for so long in the first half. If it weren't for their early goal boosting their morale and keeping them in a state of high excitement, given Werder Bremen's attacking firepower, they would have scored at least 2 goals by halftime. However, after a brief silence, the Greuther Fürth fans wiped away their tears and continued waving their flags and singing their team anthem. The team hadn't been relegated yet, there were still many rounds left in the league. As long as they persevered, there was always hope. In the second half, both sides switched ends, and Werder Bremen's attacks came in waves. De Bruyne and Lin Quan scored in the 55th and 68th minutes respectively. The score became 3-1, and time was running out for Greuther Fürth. After Lin Quan scored the third goal, Coach Schaff on the bench breathed a sigh of relief. He had been worried that Lin Quan's form would be affected after the incident at Fritz's home. Now it seemed he had worried too much. With a score in the lead, The opponent's attack had lost its structure, and their defense was running around like headless flies. Schaff didn't think the opponent could turn the game around, so he began to make substitutions, with Lin Quan, Elia, and Fritz being replaced one after another. De Bruyne, because of his recent hot form and his request to stay on the field, was not included in the substitution list by Schaff. In the final stages of the game, Firth still couldn't find a way to break through Werder Bremen's goal. However, De Bruyne scored again in the final moments, completing a brace and helping Werder Bremen to a 4-1 away victory over Firth. The Clover fans were extremely heartbroken. Before Lin Quan's goal in the first half, they thought the team would get their second victory of the season. But the final result was heartbreaking, but they did not blame the team or the players. Even when the team was trailing by a large margin, the fans remained steadfast at the stadium, continuously singing the team song and cheering them on. With fans like these, even if Werder Bremen were relegated, they could surely rise again in the future, right? After this victory, Werder Bremen reached 18 points, but because Schalke 04 also won, their ranking remained unchanged at 4th place. This round of matches saw a major upset. Bayern Munich, unbeaten in 8 rounds, lost 1-2 at home to Bayer Leverkusen, while this season's biggest dark horse, Eintracht Frankfurt, lost away to Stuttgart. The losses of the top 2 teams caused some changes in the standings. Bayern Munich now leads with 22 points, while Schalke 04, with 20 points, overtook Frankfurt to move into 2nd place. Frankfurt, the dark horse, is currently in 3rd place with 19 points, and Werder Bremen, 1 point behind, is in 4th. 4 days later, the second round of the German Cup kicks off. In this round of matches, Werder Bremen hosted Augsburg, a team they had previously faced in the league. Just over 20 days prior, Werder Bremen suffered a crushing defeat at Augsburg's home ground. With Lin Quan sidelined due to injury, a depleted Werder Bremen were on the back foot throughout the game, conceding 3 goals, their most in a single match this season. Determined to avenge their defeat, Werder Bremen launched a powerful attack, thrashing Augsburg 6-2 at the Weser Stadium, eliminating them from the competition. Lin Quan contributed 2 assists and a goal before being substituted in the 65th minute. De Bruyne played the full 90 minutes, scoring a goal and providing 3 assists, ranking first in the German Cup assist charts. After advancing to the 3rd round, Werder Bremen were overjoyed. However, their good mood didn't last long, as their luck ran out in the subsequent German Cup 3rd round draw. They were drawn against Bundesliga champions Bayern Munich, marking their 3rd encounter with Bayern this season. Wow, are we destined to face Bayern? Why is it always Bayern? Werder Bremen players dislike playing Bayern, even though they have a superior record against them this season. However, the German Cup isn't like the Telekom Cup, a less prestigious competition. As Germany's most important cup, the German Cup trophy is highly attractive to all clubs. Therefore, Bayern won't easily give up on the German Cup. Replicating their Telekom Cup miracle will be extremely difficult for them. After the draw, few people favored Werder Bremen. Although they had previously drawn with Bayern at home, 1 or 2 upsets don't mean much. The difference in overall strength between the 2 teams is objectively clear. However, Werder Bremen didn't give up early just because their opponent was strong, especially after the head coach and club manager announced their goal for the season, to qualify for European competition. They were even less likely to give up then. Winning the German Cup would directly secure a European qualification spot, essentially achieving their goal ahead of schedule. Moreover, facing Bayern Munich earlier meant they wouldn't have to meet them again in later matches. This way, they wouldn't have to struggle with choosing between strong cup opponents in the final stages of the league. Being eliminated might even be a good thing, allowing them to focus on the league without being distracted by the cup competition. 5 days later, the 10th round of the Bundesliga kicked off, with Werder Bremen defeating Mainz 2-1 at home, securing their 3rd consecutive victory. Schalke 04, having expended too much energy in the Champions League, suffered a surprising defeat to Hoffenheim, while Eintracht Frankfurt were held to a draw at home by Greuther Fürth. With this victory, Werder Bremen moved up to 2nd place in the standings with 21 points. They trail league leaders Bayern Munich by 4 points. While the gap may seem small, around 2 games, expecting Bayern to lose 2 consecutive matches is highly unlikely. On November 8, the 4th round of the Champions League group stage kicked off. Bayern Munich hosted Ligue 1 side Lille at home. To better observe Bayern Munich's form, Werder Bremen coach Schaff personally attended the match at the Allianz Arena. Bayern displayed their terrifying ability to inflict heavy defeats. By just 33 minutes into the first half, the score was already 5-0. Bayern Munich scored 5 goals in the 5th, 18th, 23rd, 28th, and 33rd minutes through Schweinsteiger, Pizarro, and Balmont respectively. Werder Bremen's all-time top scorer, the 34-year-old Pizarro, scored 3 goals, completing a hat-trick. Seeing this, Schuff frowned. Bayern Munich has become stronger than before. Their attack is more impactful, their defense is more layered, and they have made tremendous progress on both ends of the pitch. It will be really difficult to beat this Bayern. Chapter 93 The perpetrators of the tragedy. Lin Quan watched the match live at home. When he saw the final score of 6-1, he was genuinely shocked. Teams participating in the Champions League are all top-ranked teams in their respective leagues. They can't be pushovers. Even if there's a difference in strength between these teams, it's rare to see such a lopsided score. In a competition of this caliber in the Champions League, a 5-goal difference is considered a massacre. However, this score against Bayern Munich in the 2012-2013 season doesn't seem so hard to understand. After all, Bayern is known as the perpetrator of massacres. It has to be you, Bayern. You really go all out. He curiously went online to check, and sure enough, he found the match being hotly debated online. Holy crap, Bayern's attacking firepower is insane. Robben and Ribéry didn't even play and they already wrecked their opponents. If they were back from injury and playing, the score would be even more outrageous. I have a feeling that a certain team is going to face Barcelona or Bayern again this year. Even though you didn't say who, I instantly understood. Haha, the top 4 contending maniacs, habitually strong at the start, lost in the middle, collapsing in the second half, and then getting knocked out of the Champions League group as the second-place team to face Real Madrid, Barcelona, or Bayern. 3 years with Barcelona, 5 years with Bayern, it's Arsenal's fixed draw. I even suspect UEFA is targeting Arsenal. Hell, if Arsenal had won the group, they could have avoided these strong teams, right? Ultimately, it's just that Arsenal are bad. Poor Arsenal, held to draw by Schalke, otherwise they could have topped the group and escaped this cursed fate. Initially, the online discussion was all about Bayern's terrifying attacking power, but then someone steered the conversation off topic. The conversation eventually turned to Arsenal. Lin Quan didn't really agree with the online jokes about Arsenal. Arsenal's overall strength isn't that great, and the players are too young. Everyone knows that young players are prone to mental problems, and Wenger, who built his empire on these youngsters, should have considered this. However, Arsenal invests so little in the transfer market each year, they can't afford big-name stars and can only buy young talents at low prices to nurture. With such low investment, the fact that Wenger has led Arsenal to the Champions League every year, and even consistently out of the group stage, is already quite remarkable. Of course, bad luck also plays a significant role. While Arsenal fans lamented online, in the shadows, Werder Bremen fans were also lamenting. After watching this match, many fans who previously had confidence in their team felt their match against Bayern would be difficult. Bayern's form is visibly improving, and playing against a team on the rise is extremely challenging. Not to mention, their opponents are simply stronger. Bundesliga teams continue their impressive run in the Champions League this season. After this round of group stage matches, 3 Bundesliga teams remain unbeaten. Schalke 04 drew 2-2 at home against Arsenal, finishing first in the group with 8 points from 4 matches, 2 wins, 2 draws, putting them in a very strong position to advance. Borussia Dortmund, in the group of death, has surpassed Real Madrid, also finishing first in the group with 2 wins and 2 draws, accumulating 8 points. Real Madrid, in the same group, has 2 wins, 1 draw, and 1 loss, ranking second with 7 points, while Ajax has 1 win, 1 draw, and 2 losses, ranking third with 4 points. Manchester City, who received a large investment from Middle Eastern investors, performed poorly in the Champions League group stage, finishing bottom with 2 draws and 2 losses, essentially eliminated. It seems that money alone isn't enough. Manchester City's rise requires finding the right players and the right coach, and that will take a long time. The Bundesliga has performed exceptionally well in this year's Champions League group stage. After 4 rounds, the 3 Bundesliga teams have a record of 7 wins, 4 draws, and 1 loss. Apart from Bayern Munich losing 1 match, the other 2 teams remain undefeated and both secured first place in their groups, making their overall performance the best in Europe. This has made European countries aware of the Bundesliga's strength, and its popularity is rising. Some top clubs have even begun sending scouts to scout for outstanding Bundesliga players, planning to spend their winter break to acquire players from the Bundesliga at relatively low prices. Werder Bremen, currently second in the Bundesliga standings, has also received considerable attention. These days, scouts from various teams can often be seen observing them outside their training ground. Lin Quan and De Bruyne are the most frequently observed, as Lin Quan's €5 million release clause and the remaining 6 months of his contract are incredibly attractive. All teams want to try their luck, but Lin Quan has ignored them. To avoid harassment, he has simply stayed in the club's dormitory and rarely goes out. As for De Bruyne, he even publicly stated that he would never leave Chelsea and was determined to return to Stamford Bridge to prove himself. Unable to acquire them, many scouts began to focus on other players. For example, the very young but outstanding Füllkrug in the Bundesliga this season. He has already scored 5 goals this season, and the transfer market values him at €3.5 million. For a substitute, scoring so many goals in just 10 games is an astonishing efficiency. Therefore, his price is not only not high, but actually quite cheap. Some top clubs might not be interested, but mid to lower table teams are very keen on such a cheap and effective player. If Werder Bremen is willing to release him, many teams will likely be willing to pay to bring him to the club. Besides Füllkrug, Werder Bremen's Dutch international Elia has also attracted considerable attention. Elia was released by a giant like Juventus, and he has always longed to return to a top club to prove his ability. He has performed well this season, but acquiring him will be more difficult than acquiring Füllkrug. He looked down on most teams unless the top club offered him a contract, otherwise, he'd rather stay at Werder Bremen. Werder Bremen's defense was very unstable, so basically no team was interested in their defenders. Lin Quan was completely unconcerned about the outside attention. He had no plans to transfer during the winter break. His contract with Barcelona only had 6 months left, and he'd be a free agent next year, so there was no need to create any unnecessary complications during the winter break. And so, November 10th arrived, and the 11th round of the Bundesliga kicked off. Werder Bremen, second in the standings, would travel to face Schalke 04, third in the standings. Both teams were highly ranked, and their match could very well determine the Bundesliga champion this season, making it the most anticipated game of the round. In the earlier match, Bayern Munich defeated Eintracht Frankfurt 2-0 at home, knocking them off the table and widening the gap with Werder Bremen. Considering Bayern Munich's current lead in the standings, a draw between Werder Bremen and Schalke 04 would widen the gap to 6 points. A loss for Werder Bremen would extend their lead over second place to 5 points. Therefore, a draw would be ideal for Bayern. If a winner must be decided, a victory for third-placed Schalke 04 over second-placed Werder Bremen would be more advantageous. Schalke 04 is a tough opponent, despite their previous league loss to Hoffenheim. However, the penalty decision in that match was controversial, and they were defeated in the final minute. Without that penalty, Schalke likely wouldn't have launched such a frantic attack in the final stages, thus avoiding the last-minute defeat. Werder Bremen is well aware of the importance of this match. On paper, Schalke 04 is slightly stronger. However, their opponents had just battled Arsenal in the Champions League, and their physical condition was not as good as Schalke 4's, who had been resting and recuperating before the European competition. This was a closely contested match, and the winner would be the one who performed better on the field. Because this match was so crucial for both sides, tickets for Schalke 4's home game were extremely difficult to obtain. All 55,000 tickets sold out immediately. Chapter 94. This is Veltins. Schalke's fans were incredibly enthusiastic. Before Werder Bremen's players even got off the bus, they had already completely blocked the road. This kind of treatment was usually reserved for their Ruhr derby rivals, Borussia Dortmund. Hey, Bremen brats, you're dead meat. This is the Veltins arena, you bunch of trash, run back home with your tails between your legs. Haha, they're scared to death, they'll be crying to their mothers for milk after the game. The Schalke fans harassed their league opponents with all sorts of vulgar language. They were never gentlemen, they were descendants of miners, proud of their grassroots, rude, and other low-class culture. The team bus was under siege by their opponents, but the Werder Bremen players didn't rush off. They waited for the police to clear the way, and before the police arrived, they wouldn't easily get off to avoid being attacked by the opposing fans and suffering accidental injuries. Seeing that their opponents dared not get off, The Schalke fans laughed triumphantly. They lined up to enter the stadium, giving the middle finger to Werder Bremen's team bus and chanting their team song. The Werder Bremen players were clearly enraged by their opponents. Although they also had their own northern derby, even their match against arch-rivals Hamburg hadn't been this heated. The provocations and insults from the opposing fans ignited the Werder Bremen players' fury. They wanted nothing more than to rush onto the pitch, tear Schalke to shreds, and trample them underfoot. This match was supposed to be just an ordinary league game, but because the two teams were close in points, coupled with the Schalke fans' humiliation and provocations towards the Werder Bremen bus, the atmosphere became incredibly tense. In the locker room, after outlining the tactics, Schalke remained silent, letting the players experience the atmosphere at the Veltins Arena themselves. The away team's locker room wasn't well soundproofed, and they could clearly hear the deafening roar of the crowd from the stadium. What are your thoughts? Seeing the players had quieted down, Schalke looked up, his gaze sweeping over each of them. I feel my blood boiling. More than ever, I want to take a victory from here. I swear, nothing feels better than celebrating in front of 50,000 Schalke fans. I'm going to humiliate Schalke 04 right here, kick them under my feet. That's right, we'll crush them, let them know they are the real trash. Schalke nodded in satisfaction. Very good, keep up the fighting spirit. Remember what you said earlier, on the field, beat them mercilessly. Beat them mercilessly. The players shouted in unison, gritting their teeth, then clasped their hands together. Werder Bremen. Charge! 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 After shouting the battle cry, the Werder Bremen players, their blood boiling, left the locker room and entered the tunnel, ready to take the field. The players' tunnel at the Veltins Arena is unlike any other stadium. To reflect the history of the Schalke FC, it was designed like a mine tunnel. Passing through this tunnel, one is greeted by a massive, luxurious stadium with a roof. Despite their name, Schalke is far from poor. This home ground is far more luxurious than Werder Bremen's. Lin Quan glanced at the magnificent stadium as he entered. The Veltins Arena was packed, the entire stadium a sea of sky blue. In one of the stands, a huge white and blue team crest was slowly unfurled by the fans. Schalke supporters began to cheer, their shouts rising in waves, so loud one wanted to cover their ears. The attendance was terrifying. Not only were the seats full, but even standing room tickets were probably sold out. Bundesliga tickets are among the cheapest in the top 5 European leagues, with a single match ticket costing under €30, and some season tickets even under €10. With Germany's average income and relatively cheap ticket prices, the Bundesliga boasts the highest attendance among the top 5 European leagues, with every match packed to capacity. Germans truly love football. Of course, because of the sheer number of fans, these low-price tickets are extremely difficult to obtain. Ordinary fans will most likely have to buy tickets from scalpers. And scalpers won't be polite. Schalke only allocated 2,000 tickets for away fans, meaning that more than half of the 5,000-plus Werder Bremen fans who traveled with the team couldn't get tickets. Lin Quan searched for a long time before finally finding a small group of green fans surrounded by sky blue stands in a corner of the southeast stand. They not only had terrible seats but were also surrounded by Schalke fans. If it weren't for the police separating the two groups, Lin Quan suspected that the Schalke fans would have rushed over to provoke or even fight. Werder Bremen will remember this. When Schalke visits the Weser Stadium, we'll give the Shakhtar Donetsk fans 2,000 tickets so they can't watch a game. Chelsea scout George Evans also couldn't get tickets, and ended up having to pay a high price to snatch a not-so-good seat from a scalper. That ticket cost him €320, which stunk. That's more than 10 times the retail price. The Shakhtar Donetsk fans are too fanatical. It's just a league game, is it really that big of a deal? George finally managed to squeeze into his seat from the crowded throng, grumbling as he straightened his disheveled suit. Before he could even sit down, a deafening roar erupted, making his ears ring. The Shakhtar Donetsk fans at the Veltins Arena are incredibly passionate. They've once reached a staggering 129 decibels. Any player would be affected by such terrifying noise. Meanwhile, they were cheering wildly for every Schalke player who stepped onto the field. But when Lin Quan and his teammates stepped onto the Veltins Arena, they were met with boos from the more than 50,000 home fans. Well, that was expected. If it weren't for the difficulty in unifying the insults, they would probably be greeted with profanities. Schalke 04 fans wouldn't welcome them, but their own players might. Before the match started, Atsuto Uchida, the Japanese right back for Schalke 04, politely approached Lin Quan to greet him, hoping to exchange jerseys after the game. Lin Quan was baffled by Uchida's enthusiasm. He didn't know him at all, so why was he being so polite? Was it really as rumored that the Japanese were extremely enamored with the strong and would fawn over those stronger than themselves? He didn't know anyone at Shock. There was a player from China who had previously transferred away. Raoul, the former captain of the national team, was no longer with Shock, so Lin Quan shouldn't have refused Uchida at Sudo's request. However, the disgusting scene he witnessed from Shock fans before the match left him quite annoyed, so he refused Uchida's request, not wanting to exchange jerseys. Although refused, Uchida still politely bowed to him. Lin-san probably doesn't know my ability and doesn't want to exchange jerseys with an unknown player. Since that's the case, I'll prove my strength on the field. As long as I can stop Lin-san from scoring, I believe I can impress him and earn the right to exchange jerseys after the match. Uchida at Sudo's bow to Lin Quan drew the attention of players from both teams. What's going on? De Bruyne nudged Lin Quan with his elbow, asking curiously. He asked to exchange jerseys with me, and I refused. Then why did he bow to you? De Bruyne looked surprised. Shouldn't the other party be furious? Perhaps it's their national custom? De Bruyne thought for a moment. Characters in Japanese anime often bow, so Lin Quan's explanation seemed plausible. At Sudo, Uchida transferred from Kashima Antlers in the J-League 2 years ago for a relatively low fee of only €1.1 million. After arriving at Shock 04, he spent 2 years earning the coach's trust through hard work and finally secured a starting position this season. In contrast, Lin Quan, from a prestigious club, immediately secured a starting position in the Bundesliga, even becoming Werder Bremen's attacking caller. This made Uchida jealous. He felt that Lin Quan's success was solely due to his prestigious background, and his actual ability might not be superior. However, as the season progressed, Lin Quan dominated the Bundesliga, even breaching Bayern Munich's goal multiple times. This made Atsuto Uchida realize that he and Lin Quan were simply not in the same league. His jealousy of Lin Quan vanished completely, replaced by deep admiration. For an Asian player to achieve such success in European competitions filled Uchida, who knew how tough it was to compete in the top 5 leagues, with immense respect. Of course, admiration didn't mean surrender. Lin-san, I'll do my best to keep up with you in this match. I won't let you score easily. After bowing, Uchida returned to his position, silently resolving to himself. At 4:30 p.m., the match started on time. Both teams were cautious from the start, trying to retreat deep into their own defenses and slowly probe their opponent's strengths, hesitant to commit heavily to an attack. For Werder Bremen, playing away, a defensive approach was part of their plan. For Schalke 04, trailing Werder Bremen in the standings, playing at home, they certainly hoped to defeat their opponent. Otherwise, the match would be much more difficult when they played at the opponent's home ground. Werder Bremen has been in excellent form this season. If they don't fall behind in the second half, they will undoubtedly be one of the teams vying with Schalke 04 for a Champions League spot. Therefore, if Schalke 04 wants to secure their Champions League qualification for next season, they must defeat Werder Bremen in their head-to-head match. The same applies to Werder Bremen. This match is worth 6 points, neither side wants to lose, and neither can afford to lose. After 5 minutes of probing, both sides finally began to commit more players to the attack. Schalke, playing at home, launched the first attack. In the 13th minute, Schalke executed a brilliant attacking move. Huntelaar, last season's Bundesliga Golden Boot winner, unleashed a powerful shot inside the penalty area, which was saved by Millets. The shot was of high quality. The Dutch international's technique is undeniable. If Millets hadn't been well positioned, he might have scored. A minute later, Werder Bremen responded in kind. Hunt received a through ball from Lin Quan, turned, and shot, but the goalkeeper tipped it over the bar with one hand. This was also a beautiful play, with Schalke's young goalkeeper Anastel making a brilliant save. After this round of attacking play, both sides completely relaxed, realizing their opponent's strength was only so-so, and thus committed more players to their attacks. Chapter 95 Your Emperor Lin, specializing in growing penetration. The pace of the game quickened, with both teams launching relentless attacks and quickly penetrating the opponent's half to threaten their goal. Both teams' nets were under immense pressure, with numerous dangerous situations looming in front of their goals, creating the feeling that a goal could be conceded at any moment. In the 19th minute, Holtby received the ball with his back to goal and passed it to Huntelaar, whose well-positioned shot struck the post. The fans at the Veltins Arena let out a groan and curses. When they saw Huntelaar's shot, they thought it was a goal, but the post betrayed them, blocking the shot for their opponents. 2 minutes later, Werder Bremen launched a quick counter-attack, and Lin Quan's shot inside the penalty area also hit the post. The Veltins Arena fans clutched their chests, relieved that the post had saved their team from falling behind. Thus, the two teams seemed to be playing a back-and-forth game, exchanging blows. Although there were no goals yet, the match was anything but dull. In fact, it was incredibly exciting. This was typical Bundesliga football. Both sides went straight for the ball, attacking relentlessly. It was a thrilling match because, regardless of whether their chances were good or bad, the final attack always ended with a shot on goal. If they couldn't get inside the box, they'd take a long-range shot from outside. If that didn't work, they'd try to pass the ball into the box and head it in. In short, every possible way to score was used, regardless of its effectiveness. The game was exciting, but perhaps a little too intense, giving Schalke 04 fans a real joy. The expected thrashing of Werder Bremen by Schalke 04 didn't materialize. Instead, the game was back and forth, with Werder Bremen's counterattacks proving more threatening. In this chaotic battle, whoever capitalized on their chances would score first. But their home team struggled to find the net, while every counterattack from their opponents sent shivers down their spines. Schalke fans were puzzled. Why had Werder Bremen, whom they had defeated twice last season, suddenly become so difficult to beat? Last season, they had thrashed Werder Bremen 5-0 at home. Now, they were struggling to even score a single goal. 30 minutes into the game, both sides had exchanged over 15 shots, yet not a single goal had been scored. Seeing their team unable to break through, many Schalke fans began to worry, would their team lose this match? And sure enough, in the 32nd minute, Werder Bremen intercepted the ball in midfield and launched a quick counter-attack. After a few clean passes in midfield, the ball reached Lin Quan's feet. Lin Quan glanced at the opponent's defensive positioning, spotted an opportunity on the right, and dribbled towards the right flank. Schalke's defensive midfielder, Neustadt, rushed to intercept, but his reckless outstretched leg allowed Lin Quan to easily get past him. After getting past Neustadt, he was left only with Schalke's defensive line. Right back at Uchida, not daring to give his opponent space, immediately called for his teammates to cover. He himself chose to intercept, trying to force Lin Quan to stop. To defend against Lin Quan, he had done extensive pre-match preparation. He had watched almost every one of Lin Quan's previous matches, analyzing his dribbling style and habits. He knew Lin Quan had a fast pace and was adept at using feints to deceive defenders. This made him very cautious, absolutely avoiding any rash tackles. Uchida's defensive strategy was to hold his position, forcing Lin Quan to slow down, allowing his teammates to track back and double-team him, then dispossess him. Lin Quan's dribbling was impressive, but under double-teaming and intense physical contact, he couldn't avoid losing possession. He had analyzed other teams' successful defensive strategies against Lin Quan, finding that most of their successful defenses came when Lin Quan was forced to slow down, losing space for dribbling and passing. However, intercepting the ball from an opponent during a rapid dribble is extremely difficult because their touch rate is too high, and defenders can't keep up. A hasty tackle will almost certainly result in being beaten. Atsuto Uchida's choice was correct. His teammate Papadopoulos also positioned himself well behind him. Even if Lin Quan broke through, he would be intercepted by his teammates. Feeling fully prepared, Atsuto Uchida mentally shouted, "Come on, Lin-san. Let me see your true strength. How will you break through my impenetrable defense?" Atsuto Uchida's eyes were full of anticipation. If his defense succeeded this time, it would prove he had found a way to neutralize Lin Quan. Lin Quan and Messi have very similar playing styles. If they could successfully neutralize Lin Quan, then perhaps they could neutralize Messi in the same way. Neutralizing Messi is something even the world's top defenders can't do. If he could, he would undoubtedly become famous overnight. Thinking of this, Atsuto Uchida couldn't help but smile. He seemed to see himself being lining up to be recruited by top clubs. Lin Quan glanced at him strangely. What was wrong with this guy? Why was he so excited to see me coming? Wasn't he worried about being beaten and losing possession? There was no time to think further. Seeing Uchida's choice, Lin Quan made his decision instantly. With a simple flick and a dribble, he adjusted his pace, feigning a breakthrough from Ochida's left. Here it comes. Was this a real breakthrough, or a feint? Ochida faced the same difficult choice almost every defender faced when dealing with Lin Quan and Messi, judging the direction of the breakthrough. His weight had shifted, his right foot was on the ground and becoming his supporting leg. This must be real, not a feint. Ochida quickly made his judgment and hurriedly raised his left foot to intercept. But just as he extended his leg, Lin Quan pulled his right leg back, while his left foot took a half step forward. What? That was a feint? Atsuto Ochida froze on the spot. His opponent's center of gravity had clearly shifted. How could this be a feint? Indeed, theory and practice are two completely different things. Even when watching Lin Quan's match footage, although he knew Lin Quan was adept at using feints, in real combat, he was still fooled because Lin Quan's feints were too convincing. Ochida's reaction speed wasn't as fast as Boateng's. If Boateng were defending, seeing Lin Quan's adjustment, he would instinctively move to the right, tripping himself. But Ochida lacked both that level of awareness and physical strength. His center of gravity was still adjusting, he hadn't completed his previous movement and couldn't react at all. So, like a wooden stake rooted to the spot, he watched helplessly as his opponent moved away from his right. The Veltins Arena fans erupted in an uproar. They weren't players on the field and didn't know the intricate game that had just taken place. They only saw their right back standing like a wooden post, letting the opponent get past them as if they were throwing the game. This made them so angry they almost wanted to curse the women in Ochida Atsuto's family. Papadopoulos was shocked to see Ochida Atsuto get past him. He quickly took position, trying to hold off Lin Quan and wait for his teammates to come back and cover. But Lin Quan, who had already picked up speed, was not so easy to defend. He flicked the ball to the right, feigning to get past the left, exactly the same move he had made to get past Ochida Atsuto. Papadopoulos saw the whole process of his teammate being beaten and knew that his teammate had been deceived by the opponent's feint. So he kept telling himself not to be fooled by the opponent's feint, but his body still couldn't help but move slightly to the left. There was no way around it, it was almost a defender's defensive instinct. Fortunately, his movement was small and he adjusted in time, not completely losing his position. But even if the opponent hesitated for only half a second, it was enough for Lin Quan. After seeing the opponent's reaction, Lin Quan used extremely fast speed to dribble the ball twice in succession while running at high speed. The ball returned to his left foot, and Papadopoulos, like his teammates, was beaten like a wooden stake. On the sidelines, the Shrek coach angrily threw his suit jacket to the ground. A foul. Why didn't you foul before they broke into the penalty area? Even if you didn't foul, you should have double-teamed them. What's the point of sending them to their deaths one by one? What the hell makes you think you can stop them one-on-one? The fans at the Veltins Arena held their breath, instinctively standing up, craning their necks to look at their goal, praying, please don't score. Please don't score. Hold on. The young 22-year-old Anastal remained remarkably calm facing Lin Quan's one-on-one opportunity. He knew his opponent's shooting accuracy was terrifying, and saving the shot would be difficult. So, seeing Ochida Atsuto get beaten, he rushed out, intending to intercept the ball from Lin Quan's feet together with Papadopoulos. However, before he could even get into position, Papadopoulos had already been beaten, leaving him to face Lin Quan one-on-one. He couldn't retreat to defend at this point, he could only try to maximize his defensive coverage and lower the angle of Lin Quan's shot. Anastal, at 198 centimeters, was like a giant next to Lin Quan, who was only 173 centimeters. His towering height gave him a huge interception area. Getting past his fingers would be no easy feat. On the Shrek bench, many players, including coach Jens Keller who had thrown his suit earlier, had risen to their feet, nervously watching their goal. Seeing Lin Quan get a one-on-one opportunity, their hearts sank. Bundesliga statistics showed that this kid's one-on-one accuracy was astonishingly high, with very few misses. If he got a one-on-one, it was practically a goal. The first half wasn't over yet. If they let the opponent take the lead too early, this match would be very difficult. Schalke had initially given up hope, but Anastal's decisive attack rekindled a glimmer of hope. Anastal and Lin Quan were closing in, yet Anastal hesitated to shoot. This meant his shooting angle was narrowing, making it increasingly difficult for him to get past the goalkeeper's fingers. Had he made a mistake? Schalke was confused, but seeing this, they breathed a sigh of relief. Regardless, as long as they could defuse this one-on-one threat, they would escape unscathed. Oh dear, He should have shot earlier. He hesitated too much, now he has no shooting angle. In the CCTV studio, Lin Quan was starting to worry for Lin Quan. Against such a tall and strong goalkeeper, the more hesitant he was, the smaller his chance of scoring became. A decisive shot might have been enough. Online, seeing Lin Quan's hesitation, Werder Bremen's 10-year fans were also getting anxious. What's wrong with Lindsay today? That ball selection was unreasonable. Yet, he dribbled too much, he doesn't seem to be in form. That goalpost too, if it were him normally, he would have definitely scored. Could he be scared by the momentum of the Shakhtar Donetsk's home ground? Impossible, right? Lindsay, a champion of major tournaments, he's not a pushover in big games. Just when everyone thought this one-on-one opportunity was about to end, Lindsay made a move. He dribbled the ball sideways, seemingly trying to create distance and an angle to shoot into an empty net. How could the goalkeeper let him have his way? Anastel immediately used both hands and feet, stretching out his long leg to block round balls while reaching out to intercept half-high balls. With his long leg outstretched, the opponent couldn't get past him. If the opponent wanted to chip the ball, this distance was enough for him to react and intercept the shot in midair. This handling had done everything he could, and the opponent couldn't threaten the goal behind him. However, just as he stretched out his leg, Lin Quan, who was dribbling the ball, suddenly stopped, glanced at Anastel's groin, and gently kicked the ball. Anastel never expected his opponent to be so cunning, constantly watching his groin. After seeing the opponent's shooting motion, he immediately crouched down, trying to block the ball with his body. But his movement was too slow. His 1.98-meter height gave him a huge defensive area, but it also correspondingly reduced his agility, making it difficult for this massive aircraft carrier to turn around. Seeing the ball successfully roll past his opponent's groin, Lin Quan smiled. From the moment he entered the penalty area, he had been planning this shot. Anastel's frontal defensive area was large, and his previous positioning was excellent. With his height, even if Lin Quan shot into the corner, he might not be able to score. The best way to score was to get past the goalkeeper and shoot into an empty net. Or find a way to get past his groin, making it impossible for him to intercept. Anastel had been very cautious before, not giving Lin Quan a chance to get past his groin. But when Lin Quan dribbled laterally, intending to get past him, he had to extend his leg, giving Lin Quan the opportunity. The ball passed through Anastel's legs and, under the watchful eyes of over 50,000 fans, slowly rolled towards the goal. Despite its slow speed, the ball still crossed the goal line and only stopped after hitting the net. Watching the ball roll within their own net, the fans at the Veltins Arena fell into deathly silence. We're actually behind. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 96: High Pressing, Mad Dog Tactics. After scoring, facing the eerily quiet stadium, Lin Quan put his finger to his lips, ran to the sidelines, faced the Schalke 04 South stand, and made a shushing gesture. This was clearly a response to the earlier provocations and boos from the Veltins Arena fans. After playing for over 30 minutes in this noisy and booing environment, Lin Quan was thoroughly annoyed by the fans. He was booed when he entered the field, when he received the ball, and when he passed it. This quietness was quite something. What, you're not giving me face by not booing me after I scored? Do you look down on me, Lin? Boo me now. I'm not used to not being booed. The Schalke fans were furious. They not only booed loudly, but some fans in the stands even threw things onto the field. Scraps of paper, beverage bottles, melon rinds, keychains, coins. This coin is a €2 note. Who's so generous? Lin Quan pretended to pick up the coin in front of him, an action that further enraged the home fans. One burly fan, in a fit of rage, started dismantling stadium seats, seemingly intending to smash Lin Quan to death with the backrests. Lin Quan was startled and quickly slipped away before his opponent could succeed. The fans at Wilting Stadium were furious. The opponent's provocation, coupled with their team's conceded goal, fueled their anger to the point where it seemed they could burn through the stadium roof. They couldn't accept that the opponent could score. Were those two defenders spies? Did they bet on the opponent to win, and thus deliberately throw the match? They couldn't find any other reasonable explanation to believe that their defender's wooden skin defense wasn't intentional. However, some were quite different. As expected of Lin Quan, his feints were so realistic, I really couldn't stop him. Although Uchida Atsuto was thoroughly outmaneuvered, he didn't show any frustration. Instead, after witnessing the opponent's strength firsthand, he displayed a kind of fanatical excitement. There are quite a few Japanese and South Korean players playing in Europe, like Shinji Kagawa, who was bought by Premier League giants Manchester United a few months ago, and is a source of pride for the Japanese national team. However, Atsuto Uchida felt that compared to Lin Quan, his national teammate Shinji Kagawa was far inferior. Kagawa wasn't an absolute core player at Dortmund. At best, he shared a core position with players like Götze and Lewandowski. But at Werder Bremen, Lin Quan was the absolute core. And that last goal further confirmed his judgment. In national team training, he could effectively neutralize Kagawa. But against Lin Quan, despite his excellent teamwork, he was easily beaten. Their carefully prepared defensive setup for Lin Quan was like a decoration, completely ineffective. How could an Asian player achieve this? Atsuto Uchida felt no jealousy, only admiration. After that goal, the situation on the field changed drastically. Schalke 04, trailing at home, were somewhat thrown into disarray. The intense back-and-forth attacks from both sides, though thrilling, hadn't resulted in a goal, meaning they were still on equal footing. But now, Werder Bremen has scored first, shattering the balance. After Lin Quan broke the deadlock, Schalke 4's players launched a full-scale attack, hoping to equalize. However, as they intensified their attack, their defense became increasingly vulnerable. Coach Schaaf's tactic today was to play a defensive counter-attacking style after taking the lead, drawing the opponent out to exploit weaknesses in their defense and using the speed of their flanks to launch counter-attacks. This tactic might not be effective in positional play, but it works very well when the opponent pushes forward. In the 38th minute, Schalke's siege of Werder Bremen's goal failed. After ending the opponent's attack, Werder Bremen repeated the tactic with another quick counter-attack. Junozovic intercepted the ball and quickly passed it to De Bruyne, who delivered a long diagonal pass of over 30 meters to winger Elia in the attacking third. Elia sprinted down the wing, and Schalke's players frantically chased after him at full speed. The Dutch international was fast off the ball, but slower with it. Just as he was about to be double-teamed, Lin Quan arrived in time. Elia quickly passed a ball to Lin Quan, who dribbled a few steps, drawing the defender's attention, and then swiftly played a through ball to Hunt. Hunt received the ball at the edge of the penalty area. He accelerated into the box and took a shot. Anastel made the crucial save, leaping high after a quick movement to tip Hunt's shot over the crossbar. It was a brilliant save, Anastel perfectly utilizing his height advantage. A slightly shorter player might have given up in the face of that shot. After missing the goal, Hunt knelt on the ground, burying his face in his hands in despair. He had already missed a similar opportunity early in the first half. And now, this young goalkeeper had saved it again. This guy, who's clumsy like a bear when facing his teammates, how come he's so agile when facing me? After missing this opportunity, neither side could change the score in the remaining time, and the first half ended quickly. In the second half, Schalke 04 changed their defensive strategy. They began implementing a high-pressing tactic, with several forwards chasing Werder Bremen's backline like mad dogs, attempting to stifle their attack in Werder Bremen's half. This tactic put a lot of pressure on Werder Bremen's backline, reducing their passing options. They had to be more cautious with their passes, because if the ball was intercepted, the opponent could immediately launch a counter-attack. With a defense directly facing the forwards, such counter-attacks are very dangerous. The high-pressing tactic also effectively stifled the opponent's attack. When their three defensive lines advanced, long passes from the opponent's backline became ineffective. Because their passes were easily placed in offside positions, and penetrating the tightly packed three defensive lines with ground passes was not an easy task. Therefore, the situation on the field began to turn against Werder Bremen. In the 55th minute, Schalke 4's Jones intercepted the ball in midfield and passed it to Huntelaar, whose long-range shot was saved by the goalkeeper. Millets initially intended to launch a long pass to his own striker, but he abandoned the idea after a glance. His striker was in an offside position. If he dared to pass, he would be handing the ball to the opponent. Therefore, he could only pass the ball to the defender, intending to organize an attack from the back. Seeing this, the Schalke 04 players immediately began pressing the defender with the ball. The defender dared not dribble too much and immediately passed the ball to Captain Fritz. Before Fritz even received the ball, two Schalke players rushed towards him. This put Fritz under immense pressure, so he also dared not dribble too much and passed the ball to De Bruyne. However, this passing choice was anticipated by the Schalke players. Schalke's defensive midfielder, Neustadt, moved ahead and intercepted the ball. Schalke immediately launched a counter-attack. After losing possession, Werder Bremen's defense immediately retreated, but the opponents were faster. Huntelaar, with his ghostly runs, had already slipped into the penalty area unnoticed, and the ball was passed to him at that moment. Werder Bremen's defender, Schmitz, tried to intercept, but Huntelaar unexpectedly failed to receive the ball. He let the ball slip by and feinted at the defenders, distracting them. Substitute Draxler, who came on in the second half, charged into the penalty area like a speeding tank and unleashed a powerful shot into the Werder Bremen goal. The score became 1-1, and Werder Bremen's 20-minute lead vanished. After Draxler's goal, the Veltins arena erupted in a deafening roar of cheers. The Shakhtar Donetsk fans were completely ignited, and the tense atmosphere of the first half vanished. They were all incredibly excited, pumping their fists and shouting at the Werder Bremen players, "Bremen bitches, it's our turn to fight back. You'd better get ready." On the sidelines, Schaff sensed trouble when he saw the opponent implement a high-pressing tactic. Werder Bremen had a single defensive midfielder, making the passing options predictable and easily intercepted. He recognized the problem and was about to make adjustments when the opponent scored before he could. This frustrated Schaff. He shouldn't have hesitated after realizing the problem. If he had adjusted immediately, they might not have conceded the goal. He immediately made personnel changes, adding a midfielder, replacing a striker, and moving the midfielders back to shorten the distance between the defensive lines. By increasing the number of players in the backfield, Schalke can limit the opponent's pressing, while attacking down the flanks without going through the midfield, with fullbacks and wingers combining effectively. High pressing is indeed a powerful tactic, and teams that execute it well generally achieve good results. However, this tactic demands high levels of stamina from the players. Unless it's a team like Borussia Dortmund, who plays with incredible intensity in every match, most teams simply don't have the stamina to sustain it. Not to mention, Schalke just had a tough time against Arsenal in the Champions League, and their stamina is already inferior to Werder Bremen's. To continue using this tactic now is a recipe for disaster. Don't be fooled by Schalke's current success. Once their stamina is depleted, they'll be in deep trouble. A draw away from home is acceptable for Werder Bremen. They don't really care about the title anyway. A draw against Schalke would allow them to maintain their dominance in the standings. However, Schalke certainly cannot accept this scoreline. They will undoubtedly intensify their attack, attempting to change the score. And that's Werder Bremen's chance. Just wait, 80 minutes from now, when you're too tired to run anymore, we'll settle things then. Chapter 97 De Bruyne's injury leads to retirement, Lin Quan's revenge. After Werder Bremen adjusted their tactics, the midfield battle intensified. In this fierce competition, the players on both sides began to make increasingly aggressive tackles. In the 77th minute, Neustadt failed to win the ball from De Bruyne during a challenge, and in a fit of anger, he tackled De Bruyne from behind, brutally bringing him down. The referee immediately rushed over and issued a yellow card to the Schalke midfielder. Neustadt, however, was arrogant and completely unconcerned about the yellow card. As he retreated past De Bruyne, he yelled at the fallen player, "Kid, watch your leg, you won't be so lucky next time." Hearing this, the Werder Bremen players immediately became enraged. A group of players surrounded Neustadt, ready to cause him trouble. Another group surrounded De Bruyne, concerned about his injury. De Bruyne appeared to be in great pain, lying on the ground clutching his ankle, unable to get up for a long time. Can he still hold on? Lin Quan tried to help De Bruyne up, but saw large beads of sweat dripping from the other's forehead, his face deathly pale. This made him realize De Bruyne's injury might be serious, so he immediately waved to the sidelines for the team doctor to come. On the sidelines, Werder Bremen's coaching staff all stood up, watching the game intently. De Bruyne was the team's absolute key player, an indispensable core of the midfield. If you were injured and forced to leave the field, it would greatly impact Werder Bremen's strength, even disrupting their attacking system. The referee walked over, glanced at the injury, and then signaled for a stretcher to be brought on. De Bruyne clearly couldn't continue. "Damn butcher. Schaff cursed under his breath as the injured De Bruyne was carried off the stretcher, forced to make a substitution. He called over Echesi, preparing to bring him on. Echesi was 22 years old, a product of Bayern Munich's youth academy, but he had never played for Bayern's first team. This season, he hasn't gotten many playing opportunities at Werder Bremen. De Bruyne's excellent performance has kept him firmly on the bench. Schaff wouldn't easily use such a young player with little experience unless absolutely necessary, especially in such a tough away game. But Werder Bremen's bench depth is insufficient. Besides Echesi, they have no other choice. Coach, bring on a striker, I'll play midfield. Just as Schaff was preparing to make a substitution, Lin Quan suddenly came to the sidelines and said to him, "You play midfield?" Schaff was taken aback by Lin Quan's words. He had always used Lin Quan as a winger and had never considered using him as a midfielder. He seemed to have forgotten that when he loaned Lin Quan from Barcelona, Lin Quan's position was defensive midfield. "Yes, I'll play attacking midfielder," Lin Quan said firmly. "Even for De Bruyne's sake, we must win this match. We won't accept a draw, and we certainly won't accept defeat." Seeing his firm attitude, and considering that he had indeed played as a defensive midfielder in Barcelona's youth team, Schaff chose to trust him. "Alright, then the attacking organization is in your hands. Who do you want to partner with as a striker?" After Schaff finished speaking, he glanced at his bench. Füllkrug, Niels Petersen, and others were sitting on the bench. Arnautovic had been substituted earlier and couldn't play now. Hearing the coach's words, both men looked at Lin Quan. Since the last match against Augsburg, Petersen hadn't had a chance to start. Even when Lin Quan was substituted, it was Füllkrug who came on, highlighting his limited opportunities. This had deeply affected Petersen, leading him to consider leaving. He planned to discuss with Bayern Munich during the winter break to terminate his loan contract early and leave Werder Bremen to seek opportunities elsewhere. However, if he were to leave Werder Bremen in such a disgraceful manner, finding a good new club would be extremely difficult. A long period without playing time is detrimental to a player his age. Therefore, upon hearing the coach's words, Petersen looked earnestly at Lin Quan. At this point, he had completely abandoned any thought of competing with Lin Quan for the core position or even the starting lineup. Given Lin Quan's current performance, there was no way he could take his place from him. Moreover, the coach consulted Lin Quan before making substitutions. This was enough to demonstrate Lin Quan's important status within the team. He himself was merely a fringe player. Continuing to have disagreements with him would only cause him trouble. Thinking this, Petersen stood up proactively and said, "Brother Lin, pick me. I have speed and impact, which suits our current counter-attacking tactics." Lin Quan glanced at Petersen, somewhat surprised by his initiative. Given the relationship between him, Füllkrug, and Petersen, he would usually choose Füllkrug first. But when the coach asked him earlier, he hesitated. This is clearly because a target man like Füllkrug isn't a good fit for Werder Bremen's current style of play. His contribution to the team is limited. What Lin Quan needs is a player who can make runs, shoot, has good technique, and can coordinate with him. Füllkrug's positioning isn't great, and his technique isn't as good as Petersen's. He's better suited to a structured, positional style of play, not this kind of fast-paced, open game. Thinking this, Lin Quan nodded, "Okay, then you can come on. Remember not to hold on to the ball. When I have the ball, you need to rush forward immediately. Whether I can pass it to you or not, just keep going. If I can't pass it, that's my problem. If I can't get there, that's your problem." Lin Quan's tone was harsh, clearly still bothered by Petersen's excessive ball holding in the previous match. Petersen, however, didn't care about the other's attitude. He nodded heavily, remembering Lin Quan's instructions. Whatever the arrangement, as long as he had a chance to shoot, he would definitely seize it. He hadn't tasted the joy of scoring a goal in far too long. In the commentary booth, several commentators expressed their regret after seeing De Bruyne injured and forced to leave the field. De Bruyne is an excellent midfielder, he's the brain of Werder Bremen. Without him, Werder Bremen's attacking threat will drop a level. Yes, without De Bruyne's threatening passes, Schalke's defense can breathe a sigh of relief. Now they only need to focus on marking Lin Quan. Let's see what personnel changes Werder Bremen will make. They only have Echesi as an option on their bench. Huh? Werder Bremen has brought on a striker? This isn't a like-for-like substitution, they should be bringing on a midfielder. Wait a minute, what am I seeing? Lin Quan is in the attacking midfield position? Is Werder Bremen planning to replace De Bruyne with him? Several commentators were shocked by Werder Bremen's substitution. They brought on a striker who rarely plays, moving their star midfielder back to the attacking midfield position. What are they doing? Are they crippling themselves? Could it be that the new guy who came on is a bigger threat up front than Lin Quan? I don't understand. I can't figure out their thought process. The game quickly restarted, and Werder Bremen immediately retaliated. When Neustadt was dribbling, Lin Quan rushed up without hesitation and tackled him to the ground. Neustadt let out a pig-like scream, rolling on the ground clutching his leg. The referee ran over and verbally warned Lin Quan, but didn't show a yellow card, only telling him to watch the extent of his movements. Lin Quan had actually been aiming for the player with that tackle, but his foot touched the ball first. Strictly speaking, it was a legitimate tackle. Lin Quan nodded, said nothing, and slowly backed away while watching Neustadt rolling on the ground. An eye for an eye. He used to find it hard to understand the rough playing style of several Manchester United captains, especially Cantona and Keane. Their fouls were both brutal and wild, and often seemed unnecessary. Sometimes, even if you don't provoke him, he'll come at you with a kick, giving you a taste of his power first. If you do provoke him, well, watch your legs. They'd rather be sent off with a red card or even suspended than let you go without breaking them. Haaland's father messed with Keane and had his leg broken by the Manchester United captain, forcing him to retire early. Now he understands that on the pitch, if you're not ruthless, you'll be the one who suffers. Perhaps inspired by Lin Quan, Werder Bremen's players took turns targeting Neustadt in the subsequent match. In less than 10 minutes, Neustadt was tackled 5 times. The most ruthless was the team's striker, Alan Hunt, a player from Werder Bremen's youth academy, ruthless and taciturn, who seized the opportunity to tackle Neustadt for the 5th time. The latter again clutched his leg, screaming and rolling on the ground. The referee realized that these Werder Bremen players wouldn't let it go without a card. So he showed Hunter a yellow card, but Hunter didn't care, spat at Neustadt who was lying on the ground pretending to be dead, and returned to his position satisfied. As he passed Lin Quan gave him a thumbs up, and Hunter returned a knowing look. I'll find a chance to mess with him later. Lin Quan can get another yellow card anyway. However, Schalke's coach didn't dare let Neustadt stay on the field any longer. He immediately made a substitution, replacing Neustadt with Hildebrand. Seeing their butcher taken off, Werder Bremen's players began to focus more on the game. After dealing with the opponent's individual players, it was Schalke's turn to take care of the whole team. Chapter 98. Such a good thing? After De Bruyne was substituted, Werder Bremen's midfield and attacking play faltered slightly. The players seemed unaccustomed to Lin Quan playing in the attacking midfield position, and their coordination lacked cohesion. They trusted Lin Quan on the wings, but his performance in the attacking midfield position raised questions. Seeing this, Lin Quan proactively dropped back to receive the ball, initiating combinations with his teammates. Fritz, seeing him drop back to receive the ball, had no choice but to pass it to him. Upon receiving the ball, Lin Quan was immediately pressured by several Schalke players. The commentators were also worried for him. Losing possession in that position would be dangerous. However, Lin Quan didn't give them a chance, calmly passing the ball out. That pass was standard, nothing special, the commentators objectively remarked. A few minutes later, the ball returned to Lin Quan's feet. Before controlling the ball, he observed the positions and running routes of both teams' players, then attempted a long pass. Unfortunately, his teammates lacked understanding with him. After the pass, no one followed up, making his pass seem more like a mistake than a proper pass. Lin Quan shook his head, taking responsibility and indicating that he had made a mistake. He had overestimated his teammates' positioning. In the Spanish national team, or even the youth team, some players would have understood his intentions and created a brilliant combination. However, at the club level, the players weren't familiar with his playing style, making such a combination difficult to execute. It seemed they needed to play simpler. Seeing Lin Quan's absurd mistake, the Schalke players were now relieved. Because of the opponent's reputation and the fact that he had previously scored against them, the Schalke players were very wary of Lin Quan. They were initially worried when they saw him unusually playing as an attacking midfielder, thinking he had some secret weapon. But after playing for more than 10 minutes, they realized, is that all? If this is all he's capable of, then they can relax. With little time remaining, Schalke, desperate to turn the game around, couldn't afford to play games with Werder Bremen. They intensified their attack, attempting to change the score in the final moments and secure all 3 points. With their key midfielder injured and forced off, Schalke, with such a significant advantage, would have a hard time explaining themselves to the 50,000 fans in attendance. Former Bundesliga Golden Boot winner Huntelaar, who hadn't yet scored, appeared extremely hungry, repeatedly beckoning for the ball in the attacking third, eager to be the hero and change the score. However, Werder Bremen, aware of his threat, defended him tightly, denying him many opportunities. Substitutes Draxler and Schalke's number 10 Holtby, on the other hand, had several dangerous shots that nearly changed the score. Seeing their team under pressure, the Werder Bremen coaching staff began to worry. "We've put Lin Quan in the attacking midfield position, and the team's attacking combinations in the front court haven't been effective, significantly reducing our threat level. Is this really a reasonable choice?" Assistant coach Rolf said worriedly. "The situation on the field looked like a losing proposition. We need to be patient. He hasn't played much yet, we can't tell what will happen." Another assistant coach, Honabach, was much calmer. Having witnessed Lin Quan's miracles many times, he had a deep trust in him. The request to play him as an attacking midfielder was Lin Quan's own initiative. He must have his reasons. Since they couldn't figure it out, they decided to trust him. After neutralizing the opponent's attack, possession returned to Werder Bremen. Lin Quan changed his playing style after receiving the ball. When faced with pressure, he didn't immediately pass the ball but instead tried to break through, a rare move for an attacking midfielder. Because if they lose possession, it leads to a shift in attack and defense. If they're committing players to an attack and suddenly lose possession, allowing the opponent to launch a counter-attack, their defense will be severely weakened, making them vulnerable to goals. For this reason, many strong teams emphasize the timing of counter-attacks, preferring to capitalize on the opponent's counter-attacks. Schalke's players hadn't expected their opponent to choose to dribble past them. Previously, after receiving the ball, they had obediently passed it. This lowered their guard considerably, seemingly forgetting that their opponent was a sharp winger. A player skilled at dribbling, whether on the wing or in the center, can get past opponents given the opportunity. After getting past a pressing player, Lin Quan had more passing options. He passed the ball to Elia on the wing and quickly moved forward to receive it. Elia and Lin Quan combined several times, skillfully passing the ball directly to him after the opponent's run. Lin Quan received the ball and glanced at the penalty area. On the edge of Schalke's penalty area, substitute Peterson was sprinting with all his might. He ran aggressively, but seemed unaware that he was offside. Lin Quan didn't pass him the ball, instead continuing to dribble forward and playing a 1-2 with another striker, Hunter, before unleashing a long-range shot from outside the penalty area. The shot was too straight, and the goalkeeper easily saved it. Lin Quan gave Peterson a thumbs up, indicating good running and encouraging him to keep it up. Peterson expected a pass, but it never came. In the past, he might have angrily confronted Lin Quan about why the ball hadn't been passed. But now, recognizing who the team leader was, he dared not complain. Thinking back, he realized he had run a little too fast, not even seeing the opposing defender. The Schalke players were surprised. They hadn't expected their opponent to dare make such a breakthrough in midfield. He had succeeded by luck. If he had failed and lost possession, he would have been in serious trouble. Despite conceding a long-range shot, the Schalke players didn't seem to care. Without Lin Quan putting pressure on them up front, defending against Werder Bremen's attack was incredibly easy for Schalke. The players even felt a return to last season's 5-0 thrashing of Werder Bremen at home. Their opponents were still the same weak team, unchanged. As the game progressed, Werder Bremen's players gradually adapted to Lin Quan's rhythm. Their opponents felt Lin Quan wasn't playing well in the attacking midfield position, even mediocre. But Werder Bremen's players didn't see it that way. With a sudden change in their starting midfielder, they had no time to adapt, and Lin Quan was able to ensure seamless coordination with his teammates in such a short time, maintaining a high pass completion rate and not losing possession even once. This was enough to prove his ability. And after adapting to his teammates' playing style, Lin Quan's coordination with them continued to improve. Compared to just over 10 minutes ago, his passing and receiving became easier, and his ball handling became more rational. He orchestrated Werder Bremen's midfield with remarkable efficiency, boosting his teammates' confidence and encouraging them to cooperate with him more readily. Schalke, however, remained oblivious to the impending danger. In the 83rd minute, Schalke launched another attack, packing the attacking third with numerous players, attempting to use their numerical advantage to breach Werder Bremen's goal. Schalke created considerable momentum in front of Werder Bremen's goal, but their attacks were more bark than bite. Several shots either struck defenders or were saved by the goalkeeper. They failed to win the first ball on a corner kick, and their offensive was easily neutralized by Werder Bremen. Werder Bremen then launched a counter-attack, and the ball quickly reached Lin Quan's feet. Lin Quan expected the opponent to press him immediately, as before, and he was prepared to shake off his defender. However, to his surprise, the opposing players did not rush to him immediately. Lin Quan, surprised, observed for a moment and saw the Schalke players panting heavily. Although they were trying hard to intercept, their stamina seemed to be failing them, leaving them half-hearted. After a frantic pressing in the first half, the Schalke players' stamina was rapidly declining. Already unable to fully recover from the Champions League match, their energy was almost depleted after this half of intense pressure. The Schalke players were starting to run out of steam. This was good news. Werder Bremen had been waiting for this moment. He raised his hand, signaling a full-scale attack, indicating to his teammates to rush forward. It was time for them to besiege Schalke's goal. His teammates understood and began frantically making runs. Peterson was the most active, remembering Lin Quan's earlier words, "Don't worry about anything else, just keep running forward." This time, he learned from his previous mistake and didn't rush to the front, maintaining a level playing field with the opposing defenders. This way, the opponent couldn't create an offside trap for him. Schalke's defenders underestimated him. This guy, since coming on, just kept running aimlessly. While other strikers ran into open spaces, he ran in a straight line, weaving between Schalke's two center-backs. Did he expect to find a shooting opportunity here? The Schalke defenders were utterly disdainful. This guy was running so aggressively, yet none of his teammates passed him the ball. Coupled with his poor positioning, they thought Peterson was just a decoy, a distraction. So they ignored Peterson and focused on marking Alan Hunt and Elia. Based on Lin Quan's previous style of play, he would definitely pass to these two. But, to their surprise, this time, Lin Quan didn't go for them. While running at high speed, he glanced up at the runs of his teammates up front and quickly made his choice. Lin Quan's pass was a curveball that grazed the grass. The pass was incredibly difficult. It bypassed Schalke's outermost fullback, Atsuto Uchida, curved, and landed right in front of the penalty area. Just then, Peterson arrived at that spot. As he ran, Peterson was still wondering how his teammate would get around the two defenders to pass the ball, and if it did, how he would shake off them and score. Then, as he ran, the ball suddenly appeared in front of him, and the two defenders beside him had vanished. Such a stroke of luck? Without a second thought, he swung his leg and kicked the ball. Chapter 99, a resounding victory over Schalke 0-4. Goal. In the 84th minute, substitute Peterson scored a crucial goal. This goal has Schalke 0-4 on the brink of elimination. You could even say they're hanging by a thread. If they can't equalize in the final minutes, they'll lose this critical match and fall 4 points behind Werder Bremen in the standings. For Bundesliga leaders Bayern Munich, they probably don't want this match to end like this. If Werder Bremen beats Schalke 0-4, they'll maintain their 4-point lead over Bayern, preventing them from falling further behind, thus keeping the Bundesliga suspense alive. With Dortmund struggling, we need a team to step up and challenge the Bundesliga giants. And now, Werder Bremen will shoulder that responsibility. From the commentators' and most ordinary fans' perspective, they don't want to see Bayern dominate from start to finish, clinch the title several rounds early. This would make the biggest draw of the league, the championship trophy, lack suspense. Matches without suspense are dull. Bayern Munich's dominance in the Bundesliga has led to a long-term monopoly, which is detrimental to the league's overall development. In the previous 2 seasons, Borussia Dortmund played the role of spoiler effectively, snatching the title from Bayern for 2 consecutive seasons and almost undermining Bayern's Bundesliga dominance. However, this season, Dortmund's performance has plummeted, and they need a spoiler. Even if the spoiler doesn't win the title, it should at least cause Bayern Munich some trouble, increasing the difficulty of their championship run. Werder Bremen is now playing that role. In the television commentary booth, the commentators are rapidly introducing the player who scored the goal and the importance of this match and the entire Bundesliga to viewers. Aside from the fans of the two teams, the rest of the audience doesn't really care about the outcome of this match. What they cared about was whether the game was entertaining. As for who won or lost, As long as it wasn't a draw, it didn't matter. On the contrary, Lin Quan's assist just now was a pleasant surprise for them. Lin's pass was absolutely amazing. How did he do that? I was stunned. Can you even pass the ball like that? If I were a shock defender, I'd be cursing. The ball was right in front of me, but I couldn't intercept it. I could only watch helplessly as it rolled to the attacker's feet and slammed into my own net. The despair, tisk tisk. I've seen through balls, but I'm so ignorant about low, curved passes. I've never seen one before. Hell, you're obviously not a veteran fan. Beckham provided an assist like that when he was at his club. Beckham's curveball is truly legendary. It's a pity Beckham went to the North American MLS, otherwise, we could still see his brilliant performances in European competitions. Although fans thought Lin Quan's pass resembled Beckham's, it was actually a copy of De Bruyne's. Of course, it was the De Bruyne who had become a world-class midfield maestro 10 years later, not the still green De Bruyne who hadn't yet mastered that move. After scoring, Peterson excitedly ran over to hug Lin Quan in celebration. "Thank you, that was a beautiful pass. You ran very well too." The two laughed heartily, seemingly burying the hatchet. Werder Bremen's players excitedly rushed over, surrounding the two. This goal greatly boosted the team's morale, at a crucial moment when the opponent's stamina was waning. This goal almost sealed the victory. After the game restarted, Schalke 04, unwilling to fall behind, made their final substitution. They replaced midfielder Jones, number 13, with striker Pucky, number 20. This substitution signified that they hadn't given up and wouldn't surrender so easily. The boos from the Veltins arena disappeared. Seeing their team in trouble, the Schalke fans had no time to boo their opponents. They stood up collectively, singing their team song and cheering for their home team. By this point, everyone could see that the Schalke players were exhausted. So all they could hope for was that Schalke would rely on their incredible willpower to grit their teeth and persevere through those final few minutes. Just one goal would be enough. They no longer dared to dream of victory, now they only wanted a draw. 1 point would be enough. However, after the substitutions, Schalke's passive situation didn't change. On the contrary, losing a midfielder weakened their defense, allowing Werder Bremen to penetrate through the middle multiple times. In the second half, Werder Bremen's attack wasn't very fluid either. The opponent's relentless pressing greatly affected them. Now, as the opponent's stamina waned, they gradually gained control, slowly forming a siege of Schalke's goal. In this attack, Lin Quan's talent was perfectly showcased. His organization and link-up play in the attacking third were impeccable. Whenever there was an opening in the opponent's defense, his passes would immediately find their way in. Unfortunately, Werder Bremen's players lacked awareness, missing several such opportunities. If they had capitalized on these opportunities, the score might have extended to 3-1 or even 4-1. In the 90th minute, with the fourth official marking 3 minutes of stoppage time, Lin Quan decided to take matters into his own hands instead of passing to his teammates. Seeing Lin Quan receive the ball, Peterson, deeply impressed by Lin Quan's passing ability, immediately began his run. His confidence had been boosted considerably after scoring. And because he had only come on as a substitute in the second half, his stamina was far superior to the other players. This allowed him to remain energetic even as the game neared its end, moving like an eel through the opponent's penalty area. Schalke's defenders dared not ignore this restless player any longer. The opponent's previous goal, whether due to luck or excellent awareness, reminded them that ignoring him would come at a price. Therefore, they specifically assigned one defender to mark him, and another to provide constant cover. Whenever the ball reached his feet, Schalke players would immediately rush to double-team him and dispossess him. Peterson hadn't expected his presence to be so intimidating, drawing so many defenders. This made him secretly pleased. "See? That's my intimidation." Lin Quan, though confused by Peterson's runs, mentally applauded him for drawing away 2 defenders. Good run. As Lin Quan dribbled towards the edge of the penalty area, Uchida Atsuto cautiously approached, hesitant to extend his leg. Lin Quan glanced behind him, leaned back, and made a passing motion. Uchida Atsuto, unaware of what was behind him and not daring to look back, assumed the opponent was going to pass again. He quickly raised his leg to interfere, hoping to intercept the pass, or at least reduce its success rate. Unfortunately, Lin Quan wasn't going to pass. The instant Uchida Atsuto raised his leg, Lin Quan dribbled forward, leaving Uchida Atsuto standing there, bewildered. Lin Quan's dribbling was still so sudden, so deceptive. As Onstel saw Lin Quan surge into the penalty area, a chill ran down his spine. He'd conceded 2 goals in this match, both related to this guy. This guy was practically his nemesis. Having suffered a nutmeg once before, he dared not attack first. He adjusted his positioning, maximizing his defensive area, determined to save any shot in front of the goal. Lin Quan entered the penalty area, and seeing Onstel's position, instinctively glanced at his groin. The latter felt a chill down his spine, a sense of foreboding. Another one? He quickly brought his legs together, not giving Lin Quan any chance to nutmeg him. But instead of a nutmeg, Lin Quan opted for a shot towards the top left corner. Damn it, he'd been tricked. Onstel immediately moved to his right, extending his right arm to try and block the ball. But he was a fraction too slow. The ball grazed his fingertips, struck the junction of the crossbar and post, and bounced into the net. The score was now 3-1. A deathly silence fell over the Veltins Arena stadium as the opponent scored in the second minute of stoppage time. What this meant was clear to everyone. It was that damn number 10 again. He had scored all 3 goals, almost single-handedly killing Schalke. The fans were furious. Their team had dominated the Champions League, remaining undefeated, yet they had lost at home to the same opponent they had defeated twice last season. They couldn't accept it. The boos from the Veltins Arena erupted again, but this time, it was unclear who the Shakhtar Donetsk fans were booing. 2 minutes later, the referee blew the final whistle. Werder Bremen, playing away, had secured a resounding 3-1 victory over Schalke 04 at their opponent's home ground, further solidifying their lead in the standings. After the match, the Shakhtar Donetsk fans were enraged. They attempted to scale the stands and storm the pitch, startling the Werder Bremen players who were thanking their traveling teammates in the away stands. To avoid being besieged by Schalke fans, they quickly ended their celebrations and returned to the locker room to wait quietly. Finally, under police escort, they boarded the team bus and reluctantly left Schalke's home stadium. The match itself wasn't particularly difficult, but off the field, the opposing fans left a very deep impression on them. Of course, it was all bad. This unpleasant away trip created a rift between the two teams. I can't write anymore, I'm exhausted. Chapter 100 Activating the Second Talent. Upon returning to Werder Bremen, Lin Quan immediately went to the team doctor to inquire about De Bruyne's injury. De Bruyne had suffered a tackle on his ankle, but fortunately, the injury wasn't particularly serious. After examination, the team doctor determined that he would need 2 to 3 weeks of rest. Lin Quan wasn't entirely confident in the team doctor's expertise, so while De Bruyne was resting at home, he contacted the medical expert that Guardiola had previously recommended to him, asking him to take a look. It's nothing serious, just muscle and soft tissue contusions, don't be so worried, De Bruyne said nonchalantly, whether genuinely or deliberately putting on an act for his friend was unclear. Lin Quan didn't care what he thought, forcibly dragging him along, calling a car, and taking him to the medical expert for examination. The injury isn't too serious, just some minor ligament damage, it'll heal with some rest. The medical expert gave almost the same assessment as the team doctor. See, I told you it was nothing. De Bruyne breathed a sigh of relief upon hearing the expert's words. Although he felt like he had made a wasted trip, he was still very touched by Lin Quan's gesture of bringing him for a follow-up examination. For a young person, this kind of injury isn't difficult to recover from. However, you must remember not to injure the same spot again in a short period of time, otherwise it can easily become a habitual injury, which will have serious sequelae and greatly affect your competitive state and even your entire career. These words made De Bruyne's smile vanish. He was only 21 years old, and his career was far from over. It would be a terrible loss if this injury ruined his career. Okay, I'll definitely be careful. De Bruyne had originally planned to return to the field after only 2 weeks of rest, but after hearing the expert's words, he dared not do so. He'd rather rest for 3 weeks first, but this meant he would miss at least 3 league games. During his absence, the team would have to rely solely on Lin Quan. It's up to you now, I'll cheer you on. De Bruyne made a cheering gesture, and Lin Quan rolled his eyes at him. Take good care of yourself and don't overwork yourself. Cough cough, what are you saying? I don't understand. If you don't understand, why are you blushing? Lin Quan patted his friend's shoulder, gave him a be careful look, then said goodbye to Caroline and left. Caroline watched Lin Quan's departing figure, handed De Bruyne a glass of water, and asked casually, "Is that the teammate you often mention?" "Yes, he's my best friend at Werder Bremen, and also the best young player in the world," De Bruyne said proudly. Every time he heard people praising Lin Quan's talent, saying things like he was on par with Messi or a future football king, he felt honored. As for the praise he received in return, he didn't care much. Really? How good is he? Caroline didn't know much about football. She needed De Bruyne to give her a reference point so she could have a more intuitive understanding. You know the Golden Boy Award, right? It's hard to say who will win this year, but next year, barring any unforeseen circumstances, it's definitely him. Caroline was somewhat surprised. The Golden Boy Award is the highest honor for a young player. Even her boyfriend, De Bruyne, hadn't won it. How could this teammate, 4 or 5 years younger than her, possibly win next year's Golden Boy? Although they won the crucial match against Schalke, Werder Bremen wasn't particularly happy. De Bruyne's injury cast a shadow of worry over their upcoming matches. The second half proved that Lin Quan could indeed play as an attacking midfielder, but his teammates felt he was a greater threat up front. Leaving such a good top striker unused was a waste. However, besides Lin Quan, no one in the Werder Bremen team possessed the ability to deliver threatening passes like De Bruyne. De Bruyne's defense wasn't strong, nor was his ball control, but his ability to deliver the final threatening pass in open play was admirable. He was an attacking midfielder whose offense was far superior to his defense. Without him, the team's attacking firepower immediately dropped a level. If Lin Quan isn't playing as an attacking midfielder, who can replace De Bruyne? No one can replace him. De Bruyne's injury has also begun to worry the club. Now only one of their 2 stars is injured, and they still have the other to carry the team. But what if both stars are injured? Since acquiring Lin Quan and De Bruyne, Werder Bremen has become accustomed to a style of play centered around them. If these two aren't on the field, the players might lose their backbone and become unable to even play the ball properly. This has greatly troubled the coaching staff, who practically keep a close eye on Lin Quan during daily training, reminding him to be careful with his movements and not injure himself. Their concern even surpasses that of his adoptive parents. Lin Quan is speechless. In the team's training matches, his teammates are playing conservatively and won't injure him. The coaches are clearly overthinking it. But no matter what he says, the coaches won't change their minds. There's no way around it. Injuries are unpredictable. You never know if you'll get injured in the next match. Their worries terrified Lin Quan himself. De Bruyne is out for 3 weeks. If he gets injured, he'll likely be suspended for several games. That's all points. If he and De Bruyne are both suspended, Werder Bremen's chances of losing are extremely high. Every loss means 2 fewer points. He doesn't earn many points in a season anyway. Losing them like this would be too painful. So, without further ado, he needs to buy an injury talent. After opening the system panel and checking his personal attributes, Lin Quan sighed. His height hadn't changed for several months, stuck at 173 centimeters, seemingly unlikely to grow any taller. He turned his attention to the system shop, focusing directly on the injury talent section. The most expensive injury talent is 100 points for injury immunity. Activating this talent would keep the player away from injuries, eliminating any worries about getting hurt. After the match against Schalke 04, Lin Quan currently has 28 points, far from 100. Therefore, he can only admire these top-tier talents from afar. He simply can't afford them. He spent a long time considering the 10-point and 20-point talents. Finally, he decided to buy the 20-point rapid recovery talent. This talent has 2 effects: damage reduction and cooldown reduction. Specifically, it reduces direct damage taken by the player on the field by 30%. If the player is injured, it shortens the recovery time by 30%. Both effects are quite good, especially the first one. On the field, physical collisions with defenders are inevitable. Being bumped, knocked, or kicked is normal. Sometimes, even minor injuries can be extremely painful, significantly impacting performance. The pain can distort or even prevent normally executed technical movements. Reducing this pain would greatly lessen the impact of these injuries on performance. After confirming with the system that the injury-related talent could also be upgraded with a price difference, Lin Quan spent 20 points to activate it. He didn't feel anything particularly special after activation, a significant difference from his previous physical talent. However, since it was an injury-related talent, it would only manifest in the area of injury. Thinking this, Lin Quan pinched himself. Ouch! Huh? It doesn't seem to hurt much. Lin Quan was a little surprised and tried again, finding it indeed didn't hurt. Carefully feeling his skin, he felt as if a thin, soft cloth was covering it, providing some cushioning. He increased the pressure, finding that it took twice the normal pressure to feel more than normal pain. In other words, this injury reduction effect, combined with the protective power of his skin and muscles, was much better than the system's stated effect. This discovery excited Lin Quan, and he couldn't wait to try it out on the field. In the afternoon's intra-team scrimmage, Lin Quan dribbled the ball down the wing. Two substitutes came to double-team him. When Lin Quan got past the first defender, his touch on the ball was slightly too heavy. The ball went more than a meter away from him, temporarily slipping out of his control. Seeing this opportunity, the other substitute defender didn't hesitate and immediately slid in to tackle the ball out of bounds. It was supposed to be a clean tackle, but Lin Quan's vision was obstructed, and he couldn't react in time, falling to the ground along with the ball. A commotion erupted on the field, with players from both the first and substitute teams, and even the coaching staff on the sidelines, all becoming tense. Damn it, why did he have to tackle like that? What if you hurt Lin? Peterson was the first to rush over, shoving the substitute defender to the ground and immediately checking on the fallen Lin Quan. The other first-team players also gathered around. While they didn't reprimand the young substitute defender, they didn't offer him any comfort either. Lin Quan was the team's absolute core player. With De Bruyne injured, he absolutely couldn't be allowed to get hurt. If you were to get injured again, how would the team play the next few games? Lin, are you alright? Several teammates helped Lin Quan up from the ground, asking about his injury with concern. The coaching staff on the sidelines had already called the team doctor, who was about to come onto the field to check Lin Quan's injury. Lin Quan limped a few steps, testing his ankle. He found that it wasn't as painful as he had imagined. He took off his sock and looked at it. The spot where he had been kicked was only slightly red, not even a superficial injury. Thank goodness, you're not injured. The team doctor glanced at it and breathed a sigh of relief. It seemed that even ice to reduce the swelling wouldn't be necessary. It's alright, Simo just pulled back his foot, he didn't really kick me. Don't blame him, everyone. It was my own fault for not seeing it and not being able to avoid it in time. Lin Quan walked over, ruffled Simo Rock's hair, and comforted him. That tackle was beautiful. Don't feel guilty, just play like that next time you're on the field. Simo Rock is a newcomer promoted from Werder Bremen's U19 team, only 18 years old this year. Although he is 2 years older than Lin Quan, he acts like a younger brother in front of Lin Quan, completely treating him as his leader. Simo was originally feeling a bit wronged, and after being pushed and blamed by his teammates, he almost cried. After receiving Lin Quan's comfort at this moment, he was moved to tears. He wished he could die for Lin Quan. I will, thank you, brother Lin. On the sidelines, Chef and the others breathed a sigh of relief when they saw Lin Quan jumping around as if nothing had happened. Can't this kid behave himself? The match is about to start, and he's making such a fuss, trying to scare us to death. So they decisively substituted Lin Quan, stopping him from playing. Keeping him healthy is more effective than any training match. A few days later, the 12th round of the Bundesliga kicked off. Werder Bremen hosted Fortuna Düsseldorf, one of the three newly promoted teams from the two Bundesliga. Besides Eintracht Frankfurt, Düsseldorf and Greuther Fürth had less than ideal records. After 11 rounds, one was last and the other third from bottom, both in the relegation zone. Werder Bremen's midfield maestro, Kevin De Bruyne, was absent due to injury, which gave Düsseldorf some ideas. They took the initiative at the Weser Stadium, launching attacks from the start, seemingly determined to upset Werder Bremen away from home. However, they seemed to have underestimated Werder Bremen's strength. Despite the absence of De Bruyne, Werder Bremen's attacking firepower remained formidable with Lin Quan anchoring the midfield. Within just 30 minutes of the first half, Werder Bremen were already leading 2-0. The goals were scored by Arnautovic and Peterson. With Hunt suspended due to accumulated yellow cards, Peterson regained his starting opportunity. Scoring in 2 consecutive matches has helped the Bayern Munich striker, who had previously struggled within the team, regain his confidence. Early in the second half, although Fortuna Düsseldorf pulled one back with a counter-attack, Werder Bremen responded with a goal from substitute for Kluge. In the final stages of the match, Peterson found an opportunity in front of goal and scored on a rebound, ultimately securing a 4-1 victory for Werder Bremen over Fortuna Düsseldorf. Lin Quan did not score in this match but contributed 3 assists, bringing his season total to 8, ranking second in the Bundesliga assist charts, only behind his teammate De Bruyne. In the top scorer rankings, he currently leads with 15 goals, 5 more than second-placed Mandzukic, a significant advantage. The system rewards 10 points for assists and 20 points for top scorers. This makes competing for the top scorer title more worthwhile under similar circumstances. However, if he could secure the top scorer title and then also try to win the assist title for those 10 points, wouldn't that be a good idea? Moreover, his direct competitor, De Bruyne, is currently injured. If he doesn't seize this opportunity to close the gap, what will he do when De Bruyne returns and feeds him assists like crazy? He's not like Manchester City's strikers. For them, goals aren't important, just having fun. So, Lin Quan started racking up assists on the field. In the 13th round, Werder Bremen played away against Wolfsburg. Because Bayern Munich were unexpectedly held to a draw by Nuremberg away in their previous match, Werder Bremen were only 2 points behind Bayern Munich in the standings. If Werder Bremen could defeat Wolfsburg in this round's first match, they would temporarily climb to the top of the table. From the start, Wolfsburg, determined to avoid relegation, didn't want to drop points at home. Fueled by the support of their fans at the Volkswagen Arena, they launched a fierce attack on Werder Bremen. However, their attack seemed to hide an impenetrable wall, achieving no effect. Instead, Werder Bremen's counterattacks were clean and efficient, giving the Wolfsburg fans a scare. In these counterattacks, Lin Quan's command and incredible passing were particularly impressive. Recognizing his threat, Wolfsburg sent 2 players to double-team him, attempting to freeze Werder Bremen's midfield. But Lin Quan played intelligently. When pressed tightly, he didn't hold on to the ball, but passed it directly. As soon as the opposing team relaxed their guard, he immediately dribbled past them, beating his defender before delivering a threatening pass to his teammate. This frustrated the Wolfsburg players, who felt they couldn't contain him. So, they resorted to dirty tricks, using fouls to limit Lin Quan. In the 25th minute, Lin Quan dribbled past the Wolfsburg midfielder Awakens and was about to pass to her teammate. However, an enraged Awakens, after being beaten, made a vicious tackle from behind, bringing Lin Quan to the ground. This tackle was clearly aimed at the player, not the ball. The referee immediately showed Awakens a yellow card, a decision that angered the Werder Bremen players. They felt it was a malicious foul and should have resulted in a red card and immediate expulsion. However, the referee stood by his decision. Awakens didn't protest, instead seeming somewhat relieved. He knew when he made the tackle that he would definitely get a card, and most likely a red card. The referee only issued a slight punishment, no red card, just a yellow. He thought it was a good trade to trade a yellow card for an injured key player. But to his surprise, the opposing number 10 didn't leave the field. After Werder Bremen's team doctor examined and treated Lin Quan's injury, the latter limped onto the field. How could this be? He was kicked and he was fine? Awakens was astonished. Could it be that the kid was faking it? He was furious. "You little brat, daring to play me. I'll break your leg." But before he could act, the Werder Bremen players attacked first. End of this chapter. Thank you so much for reading until the end. Don't forget to give it a like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription or donation encourages us to continue. Thank you all. See you in the next video.